with Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app. We're live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. Download their app today and use promo code THEGAME. We've got a football game to talk about, a real-life football game. We are back, baby. D-Mase, Willy D, how we doing?
Hey, guys. Can you hear me? Test.
It looks like your mic is on, but I can't.
It's
There we
on
go. I
now.
can hear you now.
Yeah. It's on now. Oh, it's great. Beside the weather, once again, which means I don't have to turn on my sprinkler. So
Always a good sign.
Doing great. Saturday was a little testy for a second there when, and I know everyone else probably had the same problems that I had, like you, because you have a different carrier. You didn't have that problem.
Cord cutters.
Exactly.
Point one for the millennials.
Yes. DirecTV, I don't like you right now, at least for the preseason, because once preseason over with, we don't have to deal with channel, because, what is it, Next
Star?
Yeah, Next Star and Channel 2, they're, going back and forth, and it's been this way for the last month and a half, 2 months, where you haven't been able to watch Channel 2.
Brutal.
Yeah, and I didn't think anything about it because, the game wasn't on, so it didn't matter to me. But once I went to turn on the game, I'm like, oh, my goodness. I'm scrambling. Where can I find the game? And then Nick sent the link to the Titans Online, which, thank you, Tennessee Titans, because a lot of your fans wouldn't have been, including me and Willy, wouldn't have been able to watch the game had you not had it on your website.
Uninterrupted.
Uninterrupted, absolutely. So thank you, Tennessee Titans, for that one, because I was sweating.
Well, I was sweating because I was on the YMCA bike. I got a long workout because that's easy. I didn't know about the Tennessee Titans .com option until I'd already gotten to the Y and jumped onto the bike, the treadmill. So I got a lot of steps and pedals in. So I sweated out while I was watching, but that was fun. Then I went to a buddy's house to watch the second half that did not have DirecTV. So that was a dilemma. Not ideal.
Not a great day.
No.
I didn't exactly get the all 22
preseason.
look from the treadmill on the bike. It was a little snowy.
But let's get into
It wasn't
it.
high def.
Definitely.
Let's get into it. Tennessee Titans' first preseason game of the year, and there's several different elements, several different layers that we want to peel back. But I think the obvious number one conversation of the game is the quarterback. So I'll ask you two. Who was the better quarterback on Saturday?
I think both quarterbacks did a good job. Both quarterbacks need to improve. I thought both quarterbacks held on to the ball a little bit too long, but we discussed off air quickly that once we're able to see the all 22, which is a different aerial view, we'll then understand if the quarterbacks were holding the ball too long, or if they were waiting for guys to get, open and clear defenses. So, but for the most part, I think both quarterbacks did some good things. I think both quarterbacks need to improve. I think both quarterbacks are starting to, you can see their minds start to, race and sort of go through their progressions, which was great. I love seeing the quarterbacks go through their progressions. They didn't just try to go for the quick completion. They went through their progressions and, found the right guy at times. Now, the bad is I think Malik Willis still overthrows. All his passes that were missed were high passes. He needs to bring the ball down a little bit. Levis, I think the same thing. A lot of his passes are high, and he throws. It doesn't seem like he follows through a lot. He relies heavy on his arm strength and just flicking the ball, and the kid has an arm, but he has to learn how to follow through to make sure the ball doesn't go high or float on the receiver. But other than that, I mean, I think they did a pretty good job. I'm not going to sit here and say one guy played better than the other. I think they both had some good moments, and they both had some moments they need to improve on.
I thought Willis was slightly better, but I think there are reasons for that. Number one, I think he probably should be better in his second year, having gone through it for a year. So that shouldn't be unexpected that he looked a little more comfortable out there. And also he played more with the first line. And the ones that the first drive, the 12-play drive, is a really nice drive.
It was.
But Levis didn't get as much time with that. Who's to say Levis wouldn't have had some success on that first drive had he gone with that early offensive line? The second offensive line obviously struggled. They gave up 8 sacks, so that puts whoever's playing quarterback under some duress. So I thought Willis was ahead, but I wasn't surprised. I sort of expected to see him a little further ahead. I would expect Levis to get better over time. They both flashed some really good things. They're both great athletes. I love what they have to offer, and I hope Willis is better at using it this year than he did last year. If the play breaks down, they both have the ability to make a guy miss and really accelerate and get 10, 15 yards running, sometimes even more. They both have rockets of the arm. They just both need to work on touch, delivery, accuracy. So there's a lot to work on for sure. But I thought they flashed some good things, and I'm glad they both got to play a lot. It was interesting. I haven't seen a lot of teams do that. Did anybody else do that over the weekend, alternate quarterbacks for a game like that? It's pretty creative.
Not that I saw.
In fact, have you ever – I'd love to hear from our listeners. If you ever watched a preseason game where they did that. We've seen some college stuff. I remember Steve Spurrier back in the day would actually alternate plays between two quarterbacks.
Oh, gosh.
Jesse Palmer and Doug Johnson, I believe, were the two. Doug Johnson, briefly a Titan. Derek will remember. He would bring in a play with a quarterback, and they would go back and forth, and people thought he was nuts. But Steve Spurrier is about half nuts, but he's like the mad scientist. Nobody questioned him because it was Spurrier, right? But I don't think I've seen a team do it this way in the NFL, even for a preseason game.
And I do wonder how many teams in the past, because I'm with you, I've never seen that before. And when I saw that, I was kind of caught off guard a little bit. In the beginning, I didn't really like it. I wanted to see Malik Willis take control of quarter. And then I wanted to see Will Levis take control of a quarter. But I don't know if there's any other team in the past that's had this much investment in 2 different backup quarterbacks that either could potentially be the future of the franchise. But Mike Vrabel explained it when he was at the podium yesterday, and he said, when you're a backup quarterback, you're going to have to go in cold. So I think the way that he explained it, it made a lot more sense to me just in the framework of what their roles are going to be this season. If those were 2 quarterbacks that were vying for a starting quarterback role, then it would make more sense to, you take a quarter, other quarterback takes a quarter, and then you flip-flop for the second half. But I think that now that they're competing for a backup quarterback position, you're going to be coming in situations that maybe aren't ideal. You're going to be coming in situations where you're not completely warmed up. So it did make sense to me when Vrabel explained it.
And you want to see guys with different groups, different people out there. Did Levis get a series or 2 with the starting offensive line? I don't think he did.
He didn't get a single series with the starting offensive line.
I thought that was the case. I didn't want to jump the gun on that because that was where I was in my little scramble to get to the
well,
bike.
Malik only got 1. The offensive line only played
the one series, and they're like,
series.
okay, quit while we're ahead. They look good. Let's get him out of there. That's what I thought. So, again, reasons why maybe Willis had an edge in there. But, work in progress. So, and I didn't mind it. I don't know that I would do that the next 2 games, the alternating series like that. Maybe shake it up, do it a little differently. But I do like that they both played because one thing that I was texting you guys, C.J. Stroud played 2 series. I think Richardson played 3 for the Colts. I think Bryce Young played 3 series. Will Levis, even though he was, quote, the back, he played 6 series. So Levis is playing more than these guys who are supposed to be being groomed for. Why didn't those guys play more? I don't know. I like that they both got significant reps, Levis and Willis.
I would agree. Especially when you want to see them side by side. So my overall take with the quarterbacks, I'm with you guys. I think there were some good things from both, and I saw that there were some clear things that each of them need to work on. And while I think if you just look at the box score, and, Titans lost 23-17. Can we all agree? I don't really care about the final score.
Nah, not really.
Okay, great. Don't really care about the final stat line, but Malik Willis, 189 yards for 0 touchdowns and interception. Will Levis, 9-14, 85 yards and interception. When you look at that alone, it might look like Malik Willis was far and beyond the better quarterback. And I do think that Malik Willis probably moved the offense a little bit better, but I think that Malik Willis made worse mistakes than Will Levis did. So it's hard for me to say, well, this quarterback was better. This quarterback is ahead of the other because, one, it wasn't an even playing field. Malik Willis got the series with the starting offensive line that Will Levis didn't get. And I understand from the offensive line point of view why that decision was maybe made, but I think that the backup quarterback battle is probably, at least for me, priority number one. And I probably would have wanted to see Will Levis with the starting offensive line to have a more clear comparison between the two. Also, Malik Willis got more reps with Tajay Spears, who was the better running back on Saturday, where Will Levis got more reps with Hassan Haskins, who I don't think had as great of a day. So I would have liked, if you're going to go alternate series, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more consistency so we could have had a more clear evaluation of the two.
Well, I think you're going to get that evaluation. I think the coaches looked at it because beside the first drive, both quarterbacks played with the same offensive line. Malik Willis did great on the 2-minute. And again, like I said, Will Levis had his moments. Both of them played, Tajay Spears, we will continue to talk about him. But Julius Chestnut in that second, he ran the ball very effective yesterday. So both of these guys, with the exception, if you just take away that first series and you start to compare the two guys with the offensive line that they had, and they were putrid. That second unit offensive line is bad.
Stinky.
They are bad. And I didn't expect them to be great, but man, oh man, if they have to go down the depth chart, it's not looking good. But I think both quarterbacks played okay with the second unit. Will Levis had an opportunity to potentially win the game. He just missed the guy. He was going backwards, and trying to flick it with that strong arm and wasn't able. It was just out of the reach of the wide receiver. But for the most part, again, take away that first series where Malik played with the first unit. I think that second unit and third unit, both guys had their opportunities. Both guys what I like too is, and what people probably don't realize, I love the way Malik Willis stood in the pocket. He stood there. I think it was a conscious effort from him, considering what happened last year, where soon as he took a step back and his first read wasn't open, he was gone. This year, what I've seen early on, he's willing to stand in the pocket, even to a point where he knows he's going to get hit, as well as Will Levis. These two guys, I think, are trying to prove themselves as pocket passers. And sometimes it may be good that you stay in the pocket, and sometimes, it may be bad. But I think what they're in their minds, they want to prove that they can throw the ball with people around their feet and in their area. And they did fairly good job. They can improve on it. But I love seeing both of them stand in the pocket and didn't leave unless they had to.
You could tell that was in the back of Malik Willis's mind, was stay in the pocket. Don't have your first read be just run it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get your thoughts. It is the 2 days after a Titans game, so I want your reaction, your takeaways from the day, your takeaways from the quarterbacks on Saturday. I think that each quarterback did good things. Each quarterback made some mistakes. I thought Malik Willis's mistakes were worse, but that's my take. So coming up next, let's dissect the turnovers, the sacks. Who was it on? The quarterbacks, the line, the receivers. We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
Rebound, fly out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Comparing goalies to running backs.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
Does this group of players need more? The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Happy Monday, everyone. Man, I need you to listen up. I know it's raining. I know you may be a little bit tired today, but you got to listen to me because I need to tell you about Cool Springs MD. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and his wife Daphne, along with that experience and wonderful staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life. Cool Springs MD services have already helped many men of Brentwood, Nashville, and the surrounding areas in Tennessee with improving their immune systems, energy levels, cognitive functions, and more. They are there to connect you with the medical care you require to have a healthy and enriched life. So there's no better time now to achieve a healthy lifestyle. Men, what are you waiting for? Give Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment. Here's the number, 615-486-3458. That's 615-486-3458. Or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Don't miss a minute of football action while getting up close and personal to the future stars of the PGA Tour. Join Penn Entertainment on site at the Simmons Bank Open, promoting pin play and their sports online betting platform. Stop by their tent in the Arctic Tailgate Village during the tournament to learn more and have a chance to win some prizes and giveaways. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee. For problem gambling support, call Tennessee Redline, 1-800-899-9789.
Hey, what's going on? It's Chase McCabe, and I have been telling you about PhD weight loss for a few months now. Dr. Ashley Lucas created this program, and the best part about it is my program is going to be different than your program because we are all different people, and it's tailor-made just for you. I have weekly coaching sessions with Rachel. She keeps me in line and also has adjusted the program as we've gone, and now I'm down 25 pounds since I have been on PhD weight loss. You can do that too, but remember, we're all different, and that's okay. Those weekly one-on-one coaching sessions are important. Customized meal plans. You can use their food, which I like their food. 85% is provided to you if you choose to, or you can use your food, and they will tell you how to do that, and they'll tweak your program as you go along. Right now, check this out. This is the best part of their program. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. Go to myphdweightloss.com to learn more. Again, that is myphdweightloss.com.
Want to weigh in on the conversation?
It's a brain booster.
Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Coach T, if you could, I guess, talk about just how you used the quarterbacks today and how you thought both Malik and Will did.
You know what? It's just like a football game. It was good and bad. I mean, both of them had opportunities in 2-minute situations, which was great. And the truth is, this is like we're in training camp. I see these preseason games as still a part of training camp. So those guys are in training camp. But the difference is we were able to get some live situations. You know, they were able to see get a chance from a rush standpoint to really feel what it's like without the coaches telling them to stay away from the quarterback. So that's stuff that you can't do in practice. So it was good to get those guys those situations. I think both of them did a good job. Both of them have a lot of things, just like everybody, to clean up. But again, this experience is priceless for those guys.
There you go. That was Tennessee Titans acting head coach on Saturday. Back to defensive line coach and assistant head coach, I would assume, for Terrell Williams.
Yeah.
More thoughts on him later on because I was really impressed from what I heard from Terrell Williams there. It was Terrell Williams' evaluation of the quarterbacks, and I think what he said kind of falls in line with what we thought. We saw some good. We saw some bad. But let's analyze the bad. They got 8 sacks on Saturday between 2 quarterbacks, combined 4 turnovers. But there was one in particular that I think has been nitpicked a little bit more than others, and it was Malik Willis's first interception. Because my evaluation is I think that Malik Willis probably moved the offense a little bit better than Will Levis did. But also I think Malik Willis's mistakes were worse. And I think that a lot of that falls on Malik Willis's first interception. That was, he dropped back, had I think the cleanest pocket of any quarterback all day. He had all day long to throw. Targets Josh Wiley, who was, I think, the right receiver to target. He was wide open. And I think that the root of the interception was Malik Willis simply just overthrew him. Now, Josh Wiley's like 6'6", 6'7". Like, he's a tall dude. And he had to jump up just to get his hands on the ball. Missed it, gets tipped up, intercepted by Chicago. And I know that the old adage is if it hits the receiver in the hands, the receiver needs to come down with it. I looked at that. I didn't really know how much Josh Wiley could really do. I put that interception on Malik Willis.
Well, you want me to tell you something?
Yes.
He should have caught it.
You think?
Catch it. Yeah. If that was D-Hop, we would expected him to catch it.
That high?
It wasn't. The guy's 6'6". He barely jumped off the ground, jumped by 4 inches, 5 inches off the ground.
Still could barely
he
tap it.
He should have caught the football. I'm telling you, it hit both of his hands. He should have caught the football. There's no excuse for it. If you want to make this team, those are hard catches in the NFL. Yes, Malik Willis has to bring the ball down, and I've said that. I think he was a little bit too high on some of his throws. Even on the ones that were caught, you can see that they were just a tad bit probably shorter height on some of them, and they could have been like in a bread basket somewhere around there. But that's a catchable ball. I am telling you, nobody can convince me that that was not a catchable ball. It hit both of his hands. I understand he had to jump, but those are catches he made in college. Those are the catches he made in practice. So why the hell am I supposed to think he's not supposed to make that catch in a game? Again, Malik needs to bring the ball down some, but he was high most of the day, even on his completions. That is a pass. If you want to make this Tennessee Titan team, you got to make that. You got to help the quarterback out. That's what we stress in the receiver room, tight end room. It's not going to be perfect all the time.
But to what extent does the quarterback need to help the receiver? I mean, Malik Willis had all day.
I understand that, and it works both ways. But everything is not going to be perfect. He has an opportunity. That's a catch that separates himself from those other tight ends.
But
you can't
I
make
thought
that
the
catch.
Conditions for Malik were perfect.
Oh, I'm not. What I'm saying is, I am not excusing what Malik. The pass, I said a lot of his passes when they were off, even some that he completed, they were a tad bit high. But as a receiver, especially, it's not like the one he threw to Mason Kinsey in the back of the end zone, that was high. And he had to throw it high because of defenders. But if that's a 6'6", 6'5" guy, you expect him to go up there and catch that. If that's D-Hop, we expect him to catch that. If that's Traylon Burks, we expect him to catch that. Why don't we expect that 6'6" rookie tight end to catch a pass? That hit both of his hands. Was it an ideal pass? No, it wasn't. Was it the best pass? No, it wasn't. But those are passes in this league you got to catch more times than not. Because I guarantee you, if we go through all of Josh Wiley's tapes, I guarantee you there's 15 to 20 passes like that he's caught. And we look at it and say, what a wonderful catch. No, it's a routine catch. You get paid to catch the football, he gets paid to throw it. Sometimes it's going to be a little high, sometimes it's going to be a little low. You got to help the quarterback out sometimes, and the quarterback has to help the receiver out at times. So I don't necessarily put that on. He should have caught it, but it was a little bit high. The guy's 6'6", 6'5", 6'6". You got to get up there and get it. That's just me. You got to get it.
I fully expected D-Mase to say exactly that.
I knew it. You got to catch it.
I texted you guys on Saturday when we were watching the game from the treadmill. From the bike, actually. It was easier to text from the bike than the treadmill. But,
don't text on the treadmill.
Don't text on the treadmill. That could end up bad.
Exactly.
Phone goes flying in the air. You end up in the lane with all the other people on the treadmill. Go, are you okay? You okay?
No, please, Willy.
Wheels still spinning. Yeah. Everything's everywhere. I would say this, though. Look, you made a good point, Caroline. He had time. He made a great read. That's what I think is encouraging. Is that Willis looks like he's progressed. He is seeing the field better. He knows where to look now. It's not what it's going to be in the regular season, but he knew exactly where he wanted to go. He looks one way, he comes back, the guy's wide open. So because it's an unforced throw,
right,
you would hope that he puts it on the money a little bit better. And it was a high heater. I knew D-Mase is going to say this. But the other point I will make is I do think it's a difference throwing to DeAndre Hopkins or a lanky wide receiver than a big, stocky tight end. I would equate it to if I was throwing an alley-oop at Vanderbilt. There were certainly certain guys that I could be off on my pass a little bit, and I knew the guy could still catch it and he's dunking it.
Right.
Other guys, I knew if I didn't put it right to the side of the rim, they're not catching it. And I look stupid for throwing it, and I get taken out of the game. Like, what are you throwing that fancy pass for? But you have margin for error a little bit more.
Magic Johnson?
Yeah, exactly. And nobody's throwing alley-oop to me because I'm not going up to catch it and dunk it at that point.
Know your audience.
So that's the whole point, right? Know who you're throwing to, right? It is a little bit part of it. You have to be a little more accurate when you're throwing to a 6'6" stocky tight end as opposed to DeAndre Hopkins, who gives you a lot of margin for error with passes like that. Is that a fair thing to say?
It's a fair assessment of it. But if you're going to make this team,
see that's a great point.
Catches
he's trying to make the team. That's an opportunity to make a really nice catch.
Exactly.
We're all going, wow, what a catch!
That's a catch he has to make. No matter, there was no one draped on him. And again, Willis needs to bring the ball down. And I'm sure the minute he released the ball, he just thought, man, it's high. The minute he released it. But you still got to catch that football. It hit both of your hands, and it bounced up. I don't know what else to tell y'all. Honestly, it's in those situations, that's what separate you from making this team and not making this team. Little things like that you gotta come down with, because every pass is not going to be a perfect pass. Every route isn't going to be a perfect route, and a quarterback has to find a way to get the ball to the receivers. There's going to be some tight windows, and you got to get it in there. And receivers, you got to help the quarterback out, no matter if you're receiver or tight end. You got to help the quarterback out when he's not perfect.
I'm going to give you one other reference from a different sport, and you tell me if this has ever come into your teaching when you were taught how to play, or when you're teaching other receivers. In baseball, they always say, like as a first baseman, expect a bad throw, right? If I'm playing first base and I expect every throw to be chest high right here, then I'm not doing my job. I want to expect to be able to move with the ball, anticipate a bad throw. That gives me a better chance of catching it. Like I thought Wiley, if I could really nitpick a little bit, he jumps a little late, right? If I feel like if he maybe is anticipating, okay, I got to react to this ball and not just expect it to be right in the numbers. Maybe he jumps a little higher. It gives him a better chance to go up and snag it. Does that ever come in? Or sometimes you probably don't have time for that kind of thing, but that's a situation where he's wide open, right? You got time maybe to sit there and go, all right, let me read this throw. It's coming. Like it's a little late developing play. It's not like he's just coming right out of a route. He's in his motion. He sees the quarterback release the ball.
Yeah, you want to be able to adjust the ball. You don't want to have to. I don't go into a route, running a route, saying this ball is going to be off. I go into a running a route like, hey, listen, it should be somewhere within the framework of my body, my arms or whatnot, in my circumference or whatnot. I never truly think, well, this might be a high pass or a low pass, but you have to react as if
you're reading the throw as it comes out of his hand.
You can see the ball as it's coming, so you know whether it's going to be high, whether it's going to be low, off to your right, off to your left. A lot of passes are not picture perfect in your breadbasket, but they're sort of outside of that radius, or within that radius of your catching ability. And again, that was a situation where the quarterback could be better, and the tight end, you need to catch that pass if you want to make this team.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll continue to evaluate some of Will Levis's mistakes. Plus, we'll also hear from Mike Vrabel as well. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025-1063 The Game.
Ryan Tannehill.
To the end zone, touchdown.
Derrick Henry.
76-yard touchdown.
Kevin Byard.
And he throws, and it's intercepted.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, wow, what a catch.
The Titans are ready for another season as training camp is underway.
Go to your position. Let's go.
Who will win the camp battles? How are the new additions fitting in? Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline Fenton here for our friends over at Superbook Sports. Football season is right around the corner finally, and now is the time to place your preseason bets with Superbook in Tennessee. Superbook is the most trusted name in Vegas, and now you can use the promo code Caroline, Caroline, to score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they'll match your first bet up to $250 with promo code Caroline. Will Tennessee win the division this year? Who is your pick for MVP, and which team will win it all in February? Don't sit on the sidelines. Win money this season with Superbook Sports. Simply download the Superbook Tennessee app or visit superbook.com to place your wager today. Football, a $250 first bet bonus, and the Caroline promo code will make you do your own touchdown dance this season with Superbook Sports. So visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here. Are you looking for a luxury home on over an acre, 7 bedrooms, 9 bathrooms, and close to 7,000 square feet? 6551 Brownlee Drive in Nashville's Westmead neighborhood offers that and a 4th car garage, all by an award-winning builder. Text the number 1 to 615-420-2377 for pricing and info. Want your home on the radio? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty, office number 615-432-2919.
Genesis Diamond's most extreme value on diamonds is coming to an end. You have until Sunday at 5 p.m. to get the price of a lifetime on a certified GIA diamond ring.
Response has been incredible. People have driven for hours to buy like a dealer buys. All GIA certified diamond rings are on sale. A full 20% discount off Genesis' amazing everyday value price.
We're talking values you never thought possible. From a half carat to 20 carat diamonds, all hand-picked for maximum brilliance and all graded by the most prestigious gem lab in the world.
Don't be surprised to see jewelry store owners and diamond dealers shopping alongside you.
Genesis has the largest GIA diamond selection you've ever seen. Rounds, ovals, radiance, cushion cuts, pear shapes, emerald cuts, princess cuts.
And now through Sunday, you can take advantage of this rare buying opportunity. Limit 1 per customer, please.
Get the Genesis no middleman direct importer price minus an extra 20% on all GIA diamond engagement rings. Now through Sunday only at Genesis Diamonds.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
See store for details.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, this is David Price. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Making yesterday, was that more on the line, more on the quarterbacks holding the ball a little bit?
Blame everybody. Blame them all. Right on there. Blame them all.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel. Didn't serve as head coach on Saturday, but it is the same old Vrabel. Blame them all. And that is such a head coach perspective of an interception like that. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, we'll hear from Mike Vrabel in just about 10 or 15 minutes or so. We'll get a recap of Mike Vrabel from practice today. But we're breaking down the Malik Willis interception at the beginning of the game. It was a beautiful, clean pocket, which if you watch the game on Saturday, you would know that clean pockets were very few and very far between. But Malik Willis had a clean pocket, had all day to throw, had a great read, targeted Josh Wiley, almost just said true freshman, rookie tight end, overthrows it. Josh Wiley tips the ball. He's able to get his fingers on it, ultimately gets intercepted. I'm putting that on the quarterback because I'm thinking if you have a clean pocket like that, you should be able to have the time to hit the tight end right in the numbers. It could be a great catch, and then we're looking at it like a great play. But in true receiver fashion, D-Mase is putting it on the receiver. I think that Malik Willis had the worst mistakes of the two quarterbacks on Saturday. But Will Levis did not go unscathed on Saturday. I want to break down his final 2 passes of the game because I think that's really what a lot of people are looking at, what a lot of people are defining Will Levis's day as. Mm-hmm. And I want your perspectives on who was that on, the line, the quarterback, the receivers, because Will Levis in the final drive of the game, and this is, a gotta have it. You're down 6, you need to score there, an extra point wins the game. So it is 2nd and 3rd at the Chicago 36, 24 seconds on the clock. So it's not like he got all day to throw. Will Levis is pressured, but he steps up and makes it's an incomplete pass to Gavin Holmes up the middle. Now, I do think Gavin Holmes probably should have come down with that ball, but I'm going to flip-flop what I just said about Malik Willis. I think that was on Will Levis. That it was just a few inches too far to the left, and it was almost an ungettable ball by Gavin Holmes.
I thought, I was watching a breakdown of, I think it was Jordan Love that Dan Orlovsky was breaking down this morning, and he made this point, and I think I saw a little bit of this on that play by Levis. We're talking about the second to last pass he threw, right? He gets an opportunity that I thought he may not
Could
get.
have ended the game.
Yeah, the defense does a good job and burns the timeouts, gets the ball back for him. So they have a shot. It's a tough shot. You got to score a touchdown. 39 seconds, no timeouts. That's a difficult ask to say, okay, take us in there and score.
When the third-team offensive line is in there and
Sure.
it's really doing a great job.
Sure. And unknown wide receivers, right? Just completely zero experience for that. So it's still a great opportunity to see what Levis can do. So I thought he makes, again, the right read. He's looking off the receiver. I almost thought he did a little bit of Mahomes. It was almost like a no look. He's trying to look off the receiver as he's throwing the ball, which Mahomes can do. And
not everybody can do it.
Right. Like mechanically, you don't teach a guy to throw the ball like that. But certain guys, now that Mahomes is doing it, I'm sure everybody's like, wow, that's a great weapon if you can do it. Actually looking off the receiver. I'm sure the first no-look pass Magic Johnson threw, a lot of other people were going, man, I would never let my guy do that. Like there's things that happen in sports that sort of change the game. Like a hockey player putting the puck between his legs and shooting. A coach used to put you on the bench and you never get back in the game for trying that.
You better make it if you do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like a behind-the-back pass by Magic Johnson or a no-look pass. Those were kind of new things when he was doing it, but they become more of something you teach. So I don't know if Will Levis has taught that, but to me, if he's got time there to set his feet, put it right there on the money, rather than kind of chuck it across his body, which you, to me, have a little more chance of throwing it, wild on that. So to me, that's what I saw, because if he puts it right in stride there, he could go in and score.
And also, keep in mind, he's throwing to Gavin Holmes. No disrespect to Gavin Holmes. I'd never heard of his name before. If you're throwing that ball to Traylon Burks and DeAndre Hopkins, they probably come down with it.
Well, here's the deal with that one. For one, he couldn't set his feet. He's exiting in pocket, and he's sort of going backwards as he's sort of back to the side as he's trying to flick it. There's somebody at his feet. There's a guy reaching for the ball. So he's trying to, as he's moving back, which makes it even more difficult. And he had no other recourse but to throw the ball from that sort of stance. And that's not a stance that you don't want to throw from as a quarterback, especially you're going one way and the receiver's coming across on the move. Had he been stationary, had he been able to stand in the pocket and deliver, I think he would have hit it in stride. It would have been a touchdown. But because he was sort of falling back to his left and trying to flick the ball, I mean, the kid has a strong arm, and you can see it. It was just a little bit off. And that's another one where if you want to make this team, you got to make that catch.
Yeah.
You think that was in that category?
It was in the same category because I watched it again, and it hit his hands. Again, it's a tough
behind
catch.
him.
Did it hit his hands?
Yes, it hit his hand. It's a tough catch.
It's a tough catch, 100%.
And he has to make it, especially when you have to turn your hands over. See, just look at, if you zoom in, he's not coming across with his left hand on the top and his right hand underneath. He's coming across and he's turning his hands, and his right hand is on top and his left hand is underneath. And he's trying to run and dive and catch it. Well, it hit his hands, but it just went through. So that's another opportunity, just like I said about Wiley. I'm no different. These are catches that you have to make. Coaches may not hold that against him, either one of the guys. Mm-hmm. Coaches may not. But when you are competing for a job, when you're not that bona fide starter, those are the catches that you have to make. Those are the throws that you have to make. Even Will Levis, the last one on Malik Willis, he didn't follow through with Wiley. He didn't follow through with that throw. He sort of threw it like flat-footed in a sense. He didn't follow all the way through. That's why the ball ended up going high. Will Levis, like I said, some of his throws were the same way where he did not follow through. The last one he had was an interception. I don't blame that interception necessarily on him because it was at a point where he's just trying to get the ball off. He's trying to get I got to throw it. But he wasn't able to follow through. The ball went high because there's a guy right in the middle of the field, open. At least in the NFL, he's open. But because he wasn't able to follow through, the ball ended up going high. Both of these guys, I'm not saying one mistake is worse than the other. They got to cut down on them. They got to find a way to get in a proper throwing stance in a sense where they're able to follow through. Because once they watch that film, I guarantee you, Charles London would tell them, you need to follow through. That's why the ball's going high. But because you're not following through on your throws. Has nothing to do with anything else. Right read, right guy. You just have to follow through.
I'm seeing progress with Willis's footwork. I'm seeing, I think, more throws where I see mechanics that look like there's been improvement. I see a lot of throws that Levis makes with his feet moving, where, like you called it, a flick. And that's a great ability to have. He puts a lot on that ball. It's like a shortstop almost. Mahomes throws it like that. It's like a baseball
like a side
throw
arm.
a little bit. Yeah, different arm angles. But especially, the baseball reference as a pitcher, you talk about repeating the same delivery. That's how you throw strikes, right? It's like Tom Brady, Joe Montana, the great ones. It's the same release as often as possible. But there are guys, Rodgers, Mahomes, that can be creative and make those throws from weird angles and make it work. Like, it remains to be seen whether Levis can do it in the real game, because if you can do it, man, now we're talking next level kind of stuff. But you also need to have your feet set on certain, so know when you need to do that and know when you just need to have your mechanics and be accurate.
You know what? That ball may have been tipped. Will Levis' last ball may have been tipped. His hand may have been hit.
He was asked if his hand was hit.
Yeah.
I believe he said that his hand wasn't hit. And it was a miscommunication between he and Kyrus Jackson.
Okay.
And I don't know whose fault that is, that there was a miscommunication, whether if Will Levis just miscommunicated where he was going or if Kyrus Jackson just wasn't where he needed to be. But he did in his post-game press conference say that final interception, that his hand wasn't tipped, and
it looks like the ball came off a little wobbly. So I don't know whether the ball was slightly tipped just a tad bit or not. He said it wasn't, so I guess I'm a defer to him. But it does look a little wobbly.
It did look wobbly, and he did, and watching the game, I think a lot of people's first reaction was, where the heck are you going?
Yeah.
But he did explain that there was a miscommunication, that he expected Kyrus Jackson to be there, and Kyrus Jackson wasn't there. So I don't know how much I can really put that on Will Levis.
Yeah.
But let's continue the conversation coming up next. Let's get into your phones coming up next, because it is the Monday after a Titans game, and it is your day. I want your reaction, your thoughts on the quarterbacks. We'll also hear from Mike Vrabel here shortly. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase is brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet. 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
102.5 and 106.3, The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
Big time performance, best part of the team.
Chase McCabe 9 to 11.
An unrestricted free agent.
Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase 11 to 2.
Got the big contract.
The Velvet Touch.
Talking about Hall of Famers.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
Kept going for it.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Smashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
Get a great deal on select Kubota equipment, the #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience in the U.S. The versatile lineup is built to help you make the most of your land. Right now at participating dealers, get a Kubota compact tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months, plus save up to $800 on qualifying implements. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com/disclaimers for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willy Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Men, this is Evan Bass for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. If you're suffering with erectile dysfunction or other sexual health issues, you need to know that there is no one-size-fits-all treatment because everyone's made differently. That's why our urologists and medical providers offer a broader array of treatment options and can even combine or adjust treatments for greater effectiveness. ED can result from aging, low testosterone, prostate issues, underlying medical conditions, and more. And understanding why you have ED is the first step in treating the condition. That's why you need to know your numbers and understand what other factors might be contributing, and then work with an expert to treat it. And that's where we shine. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we have protocols that are effective in nearly 90% of cases, which means we'll likely find the right treatment for you and you can get your sex life back. So call us. Your first appointment includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices to serve you, Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
Will they find a home? Sponsored by Geico. Sarah wants a yard. My own little paradise. Brad, however, hates yard work.
The only thing I hate more than cutting the grass is paying someone to cut the grass.
Compromise is tough, but these two won't have to compromise when they bundle home and car insurance with Geico. It's easy, and they could save even more. In the end, Sarah and Brad found a great home with a yard. A very, very small yard.
Time to get it done. And I'm done.
Bundling without compromise at Geico.com.
When it comes to Chase McCabe,
The Nashville Predators, the Titans, the NBA, college football, talk a little racing.
you get a little bit of everything.
But hey, you know what? We're getting it done.
Join Chase McCabe weekday mornings at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Hey, your favorite game, Silly Underdog Picks, is back. Sign up today at thegamenashville.com or the 102.5 The Game app. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. So we were looking at Will Levis's final 2 passes of the game. So one was the one where he was under pressure, pocket was collapsing, Will Levis steps up and kind of throws a little, like a sidearm off-platform throw. Like it's almost like both of his feet were facing forward, and he was throwing a little bit of a sidearm to Gavin Holmes, just a little bit too far left, a little outside of Gavin Holmes' ability to catch it. Next throw is the interception. Mm-hmm. Does your perception change at all since we kind of went back, watched it, slowed it down a little bit?
It does because it does look. Let's just take the last 2 passes. The way he was going, the way he was sort of maneuvering to the side, sort of like I said, side but kind of back. That's where he missed off. He was moving to the left. He threw the ball too far to the left. Mm-hmm. You can just see it how it came off to his wrist. It was almost like it was like he was throwing a curveball in a sense, Willie. When he kind of, I don't know, I guess a pitcher kind of turns that ball.
Shortstop throw.
It's more of like a shortstop or a second baseman turning the
where
double play.
Exactly.
That's what
where you're
I
trying
think
to,
of.
just really get it with that wrist. And it seemed like the ball sort of veered the way he was going. He wasn't able to plant, step, and throw through. I think had he been able to do that, he would have been able to hit it. But then on the last one, it does look as if the defensive lineman got the ball. He may not have hit Will Levis' hand. That's why, Will Levis said, no, I didn't. He didn't hit my hand. But that ball came off of Will Levis's hands wobbly at the start, which indicates to me that something happened. The ball was hit, maybe not his hand, but that ball was hit that caused it to sort of, go offline just a little bit. But, if Levis said there was miscommunication, then more than likely it was, the receiver. Typically when there's a miscommunication, sometimes it's more than likely it's the receiver. But it may have been the receiver on that. But he had just never throw the receiver under the bus. He had just said, hey, listen, there was a miscommunication between the receiver and I. And that's the way he will leave it. But I do believe that ball was tipped. It looks like it was
looked
tipped.
a little wobbly.
Yeah, it did. So even with that, that I don't blame that on him because he's trying to make a play at the end of the game. And you got to get it 4th down. You got to get the ball out.
But also, wobbly or not, that didn't look like it was going anywhere near in the vicinity of a Titans receiver. I can't say, even if it was tipped, I don't think that caused the interception.
No, I don't think it caused the interception.
No, but it did look a little off trajectory.
Yeah.
It's also something we have to put in perspective, right? It's scrub time at the end of a preseason game with all backups in there. But I think my takeaway is when I watch Levis really throughout the game, not just on those last 2 passes, there are some passes where I see the mechanics, and I'm wondering how much does he have to refine that, and how much can he be accurate when you're using that ability he has this rocket of an arm, and he can throw it from all different angles. That's not easy to do, but you do have to put the ball on the money. There are so many times when I watched Mahomes the first year and a half, and I see him throwing these passes, I'm thinking, there's no way he's getting away with this. Defenses are going to start making interceptions on these. But they just didn't.
No, they can't.
Yeah.
He just is that special guy. Now, is Levis? I don't know. It's hard to say this is the next Mahomes. There are a few other guys like, Rodgers can get creative on how he slings it around. There's a few other guys that can do that. But you have to be careful when you're throwing the ball like that. And it's harder to be accurate when you're throwing from different arm angles. You're throwing on the run. You're chucking it across your body a little bit. So I wonder how you try to teach that. Like, what are the quarterback coaches telling him? Are they telling him to change his footwork a little bit more? Are they telling him to refine it? Or are they just kind of saying, look, be an athlete, let it go, let's see where we're at after a year. We don't have to necessarily put you in there today. I'm just really curious about that facet because you do see some throws that get away. Right, just because it's gone. It's like a guy that's got 100-mile-an-hour fastball, but it's Rick Vaughn. He's hitting the dummy standing. He knocks the head off of the guy with the fastball. You see some passes that aren't close sometimes, and you say, okay, mechanically, are there some things that could have made that pass better?
And I want to get back into this conversation, but Mike Vrabel's up at the podium, so we'll send it to Mike Vrabel at St. Thomas Sports Park.
A return to play protocol maybe?
Well, Josh's main role right now is going to be to just get back and get rolling on special teams. We had a vision for him to be, one of our core special teams players. It's kind of where he was last year, and so that's kind of where he started today. That's kind of what he did. It was good to see him out there. I know he was excited to be out there.
That rotation that you had with the quarterbacks last week. Is that something that you've seen a lot, or is that pretty rare to have a competition playoff like that?
As far as the series?
Series as opposed to a quarter or a half.
I don't know. That's just the way we decided to do it. May do it differently next week, may not. I'm not sure, but that's what we felt like was best.
Chris Moore said Ryan's so good at helping teach the new concepts of the offense, it feels like he almost helped design it. What's it say about a quarterback to be able to pick it up so quickly and to kind of have that level?
Well, I think that's the leadership. That's what you have to have from your quarterback. They're the ones that have to act as an extension of the coach on the field. They're the ones that hear the play call. They're the ones that have to know where everybody's supposed to line up. They're the ones that make the adjustments, the checks. So that's critical. Once we send them out there on the field, it's up to the players to figure it out. So, and to fix problems and work through it, and then come back in the huddle, a short amount of time and do it all over again and recognize what the situation is.
How's Trey Avery continue to come along?
I think Trey's competed since the day he got here. I think that's the biggest thing that you notice about him. He doesn't say a whole lot. Kind of lines up, keeps playing, and hopefully he can build on what he's been doing and continue to do it in the games. And good on special teams for us last year. Was really good on the hold up and played some there on defense, and came down with the football today in the red zone, and but then also had a holding call there in 2 minutes. So it's back and forth, it's up and down, and Trey's always worked since the day he got here. He doesn't say a whole lot, and I think he just keeps getting better.
How important has Sean's voice been in the secondary since he got here, and how have you seen him kind of help some of the other guys?
Well, as you come into a new situation as a free agent, you just kind of figure your way through this thing. I think SMB has done that. He has been consistent. He's been reliable. He's been out there every day. The thing I like is he can play multiple coverages, multiple techniques. It's not just, a press man or not just an off cover 3 corner. He's been able to be proficient in all the different coverages that we've been asking him to play.
Hart has said that he wants to improve as a pass rusher and not just be a run plugger. How has he done so far in camp at that?
I think okay. I mean, the biggest thing we always talk about, and Tier knows this, is the more conditioned and he can be, which allows him to play up to our standard, the more he plays. I mean, so when he does that, then he's out on the field and he can impact the game in different ways, whether they run it or whether they throw it. So that's the biggest thing, is the more that he wants to impact the game is the more that he can be out there and play up to our standard and be conditioned and, use it. He's got good quickness, he's got good power, and so hopefully he keeps working on that.
What are some of the things you look for when you go about figuring out what your final offensive line unit is going to be? Like, how do you know if that's the case?
As far as like the 5 or however many you keep, or well, I mean how they continue to work together. Using the first drive the other day as an example, it looked like there was some coordination in the combination blocks. Looked like there was some coordination in what we were doing. There was some finish, and never going to be perfect, but it's not jointed. It's not one guy's at this level, another guy's at this level. I think we saw some of those things and took a good step with that unit.
Small sample size, but for Peter, I guess in particular on the line, did he look like a guy who was pretty comfortable with that guard spot and one receivers there?
Yeah, I thought that Peter looked comfortable. I thought him and Dre worked together a couple times in combination blocks and pass protected. He tried to stay firm there in the middle of the pocket.
I think he maybe touched on Spears in ball security yesterday. Was he carrying it loose, or did it come out at some point?
Well, no, I just referenced the stiff arm. As great as the stiff arm is, we have to make sure when we're making cuts or we're making doing something to avoid tackles. It's like Chris. It's never the guy that you see. It's the one you don't see. It's second guy in on Wiley, and on and on and on.
Plays with what you saw from Kyrus Jackson in his first game yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, Kyrus, did some nice things. He was able to help us there on the kickoff return. Was able to make some catches there. I thought he continues to try to play with some speed, and all those young receivers that keep earning opportunities.
How much different weapon do you think he could be on special teams when kick return?
Yeah, I mean, the kick, we got blocked for somebody. I think that's the hardest skill around the league, is you got to block for them. And so I think there's plenty of guys that can do it. It's finding 10 other guys that can block.
Mike, in what ways have you seen Chig step up as a leader in the tight end room this season?
Well, Chig's got there's a personality to him. There's an energy to him, and I think that's what we need each and every day. I think that's what that room needs each and every day. Just his, coming into his second year, maybe explaining how important special teams are to helping these young guys find a role. But Chig's personality is such that, every day we need that kind of energy. We need him bouncing around, and, I'm confident we'll get that.
What makes kick
return blocking the hardest skill around the league.
Well, a lot of space, a lot of speed. You know, guys are coming down from, 30, 40 yards. And you got a couple different ways. You can go around them, over the top, back door, or through them. And so that's just a difficult task with space and the athletes that you're trying to block with. And it's something that you got to keep repping. It's something that goes into the timing and the depth of how far you're dropping, taking great angles. If you don't take a good angle, the guy beats you. Over the back door. If you go too deep, then he comes over the top. And if you're sitting there too light, Jonathan Ward had a good example of that, where he drove the guy right back into the returner, and they held him, and that's a critical penalty. So I think it's just a tough skill from trying to find the body types that have those types of movement skills and reactionary agility and the ability to block.
What you guys like about Pico, I guess, since he's back with the team here?
Yeah, we've had some experience with him, so needed a body. Shaquille Brown will go on IR, and unfortunately, so we needed somebody, and Kyle has some experience here and has played.
You're taking the entire team to kick off luncheon tomorrow. Maybe why is it important to do that before going out of town?
Well, trying to work it into our schedule. We'll absolutely be there. Team will be there, and try to help the charitable foundation. Try to interact with our season ticket members or whoever's going to be there, and hopefully the rookies will be able to entertain us a little bit.
There you go. That was Titans head coach Mike Vrabel at the podium. The team will head to Minnesota for joint practices with the Vikings tomorrow. So we'll react to what Mike Vrabel had to say coming up next. Plus, I got a bone to pick with Titans fans, and I will do that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, fun in the sun goes way beyond the white sand beaches. Let's rock out at a waterfront concert at the Sound. Let's marvel at masterpieces of the Chihuly collection and make some flippered friends at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. Let's pedal the 75-mile Pinellas Trail and stop at Florida's oldest microbrewery along the way. This fall, let's go for all the sun and none of the crowds. Let's shine. Plan your getaway at visitstpclearwater.com.
312 Pizza Company is a proud sponsor of Nashville Sounds Baseball on 102.5 The Game.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
In any work environment, culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. Hey, this is General Manager Sean Ford with Cromwell Media. This month, we want to highlight 2 individuals on our team celebrating their anniversary. First, Max Hers is celebrating over 5 years with us on 102.5 The Game. And our president and owner, Bud Walters, is celebrating his 51st year with Cromwell Media. Thanks to you for the community you've built here. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at together@cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And a score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We're live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. Download their app today and use promo code THEGAME. Hey, tune in for Nashville Sounds Baseball today at 6:35 p.m. on 94.9 The Fan. The Sounds take on the Charlotte Knights, AAA affiliate of the Chicago White Sox. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza Company, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Family Leisure. We got TD in 1 hour, so we'll get his full breakdown. He was at Soldier Field. He was in Chicago yesterday, so we'll get TD's thoughts on the preseason game on Saturday. But I have a bone to pick with Tennessee Titan fans, and not the entire fan base, but a select group of the fan base that's been very vocal about this ever since the draft, even before the draft. And I feel like it's never really slowed down. It's never quieted. And that's this group of Tennessee Titan fans that just root for Will Levis's demise. I feel like Will Levis is treated so unfairly by a portion of the Titans fan base. And I see it on Twitter. I see it in our text line. I've heard it from callers, whether it's on our show or Robbie and Rexroad or Chase's show or Jared's show, about these Titans fans that just refuse to acknowledge that Will Levis has done or will do anything good in his career. I saw it yesterday. Clay Travis tweeted something out. And I know that what Clay Travis says is not a blanket statement for all of Titans fans or even this portion of Titans fans. But he went on and on about how it was a horrible draft pick, how Will Levis is a bust, how he can't read the field, how he makes poor decisions. I didn't see that from Will Levis yesterday. I mean, you have to keep in mind, Will Levis was playing with a second and third team offensive line, which was not very good. He was playing with the second and third team receivers, and I know he was going up against the second and third team Chicago defense. But I think overall, I saw some good things from Will Levis. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of Titans fans that go back to what Will Levis did at Kentucky this past season. And granted, he didn't have the best season at Kentucky. I think he had 17 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, got sacked 9 times between 2 games in Missouri and Northern Illinois. So not great. But what a lot of people fail to acknowledge with Will Levis, he probably had the worst offensive line in all of college football at Kentucky. He had a new offensive coordinator this past season and had 2 true freshman wide receivers. And I know you can make excuses all day long. I know that. I understand that. But just the vitriol toward Will Levis, I don't get it. It's unfair and unjustified. Will Levis does one good thing, and nobody wants to acknowledge it. Will Levis throws an interception at the end of the game that he calls a miscommunication between he and the receiver, and all of a sudden he's a bust? Not fair. I feel bad for the kid, and I don't know if he's going to turn out to be the future quarterback of the Tennessee Titans organization. Maybe he will turn out to be a bust. I don't know. Maybe he's the quarterback for the next 15 years for the Tennessee Titans. I don't know, but all of the just talk and chatter and hate toward Will Levis, I feel bad for the kid. I really do.
I mean, I don't feel bad for him, but I'm not going to take, you're talking about people that their job isn't to evaluate quarterbacks. They don't know the first thing about evaluating quarterbacks. So, you take it for what it is. Things are being said to either make you want to listen to a show or read an article or whatnot to drum up all this stuff. I guarantee you he's not speaking for not even 15% of the Titan fan base in regards to Will Levis. Because if you watch that game, I don't know how you can, unless you were in the meeting rooms, you had the headsets on, and you knew exactly where he was supposed to go, where he was supposed to throw it to. If you had
the tweeters
then,
did not.
Okay, no. I will listen to you. But a lot of you, if you are sort of on that side, you don't know necessarily what it takes to evaluate a quarterback. You're not seeing what the coaches see. You're not seeing the all-22. If any one of y'all see the all-22, please call the show. I guarantee you didn't see it because it's not out yet unless you were at the game. And then if you were at the game, you really wasn't watching all of that going on because a lot of you probably didn't understand really what's going on. And that's no fault of yours. It's just the way it is.
None of us know what was supposed to go.
Exactly.
We don't know the play call.
Well, I don't know the play calling,
Yeah.
but I do understand what the quarterback's progression is supposed to be. Why sometimes he's holding on to the ball, even if they don't show the all 22, or why the ball's floating high. Well, because he didn't follow through. Any quarterback coach will tell you that. You didn't follow through on your throws. When a lot of times when you don't, the ball sails high on you. Okay? When I am standing in the pocket and I'm holding on to the ball, a lot of times it's because my first and second read are now gone. Now I'm looking for that third read or trying to buy a little bit more time to get rid of the ball. It may not necessarily be I couldn't read the defense. I could read the defense, and the defense was telling me I can't throw the ball right now. So I take it with a grain of salt. What is coming out, and there will always be a small faction of a fan base that may not agree with a particular quarterback or whatnot. If you're gonna hold against Will Levis what he did in college, then hell, you might as well not be a Titan fan or a fan of football anywhere. You can't hold, what a guy did in college. You can't hold that against him, whether if he played bad or good. You can't. He comes into the league, it's a different story. He's trying to now sort of adapt himself to a new league and try to play to that standard. He had some good plays, Will Levis, and he had some not good plays. He wasn't horrible.
And he's also a rookie
Exactly.
quarterback.
He wasn't horrible. Look at all the rookie quarterbacks that started this past weekend. All of them didn't do a good job. None of them did a great job. Let's say that. None of them did a great job.
None of them.
But nobody's throwing them out with the bathwater.
And Will Levis, I think, is leaps and bounds ahead of where Malik Willis was this time last year.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear a fraction of the whining and the crying about Malik Willis last year that I'm hearing about Will Levis this year.
I think people just dislike Will Levis for some reason.
We know
It's unfair.
We know the dynamic of Twitter. This is one of my least favorite things about Twitter. There's a lot of things that I love about Twitter. Otherwise, I wouldn't be on it. But what happens is a lot of people.
It's
the X, yeah.
The X. Excuse me.
A lot of people do this. I don't know if it's just because they're stubborn or, unfortunately, sometimes it's a way to get attention, like you said. If you're in the media, you get controversy or a lightning rod. But you say, this guy will never be a player. You take that stance. And no matter what the person does, that person's not going to come off that stance because you've gone out on a limb and you're like, Titans were wrong to take Will Levis. They never should have drafted the guy. Guy can't play a lick. I'm a Tennessee fan, whatever it is, whatever your perspective is. But you give that strong sense, and you are not open-minded to wait and see what happens. But what do? Every time the guy makes a mistake, you say, see, there's another example, just like I've been saying. I told you guys at the draft, he'll never be a quarterback. There's just those people out there, and that's just the wrong way of looking at life, right? But it's an effective way to get clicks and, reaction. Then you get some followers that are like, yeah, you're right, and they echo it.
Right.
And then you have a thing, and it's unfair. But this is the world of Twitter. It's not the real world in the room with the coaches and the teammates, and it's not realistic. Just like the other way. The narrative can go the other way, too. You take every positive thing a guy does. You take his best rep at practice. You tweet it out, and you say, see, this guy's going to be the man. He's awesome. Did you see that throw right there? And you're overlooking things that he's not doing correctly. So it works both ways sometimes.
Right.
So it's all noise, and the best can just put that aside, stay with it. It's a long process. The benefit is he's not going to be thrown into the fire. We don't think. In day one, so this is what I worry about with Stroud. I don't worry because I hope, for the Titans' sake, it's probably good that they struggle, right? But
Willie
Richardson
praying for C.J. Stroud's
and C.J. Stroud,
right? But he has a reason for that,
right?
Yes,
but
yes.
those guys played 2 series, didn't do well, and they were out of there. Will Levis got 6 series in there. He's going to play another big batch of reps this week at practice against the Vikings, and then he's going to play against the Vikings. This is good. You got to work out, and there's going to be good and bad out of every single outing that you have, and it's a long process. You can't worry about this narrative that a sliver of fans have. Or even media, just to try to get attention.
It's what we do, I think, overall, just in life and also in sports. It's confirmation bias. You have an opinion, you have a take, and you use whatever evidence is available that confirms your take. I just think it's strange. Like, I've never experienced something like this before, where a portion of the fan base is licking their chops at the demise of their quarterback, that they want their quarterback to fail. And I think it's strange, but we got a bunch of texts on this, so we're into that coming up next. Plus, what does Will Levis have to do to kind of shake this reputation that he's gotten? We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
It will help them get better players. I'm really excited about this defensive front.
And your source for Nashville sports.
They had missed the playoffs. Those players may end up being practice squad guys.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Pick up Bud Light at your local convenience store today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, folks, Joe Rexrode here talking to you about PhD weight loss. When I joined this program, I had a goal of losing 38 pounds. I'm at 36.5, right on the verge to the maintenance phase. Loving the food items they provide. No pills, no gimmicks, no other suppressants, no cravings, no problem. This feels good. It feels sustainable. That's obviously a huge thing for people who want to lose weight. You want to keep it off. This is what they call a plateau busting program. If you try to lose weight, you probably know about the plateau. You kind of stall out, eventually quit, move on to something else. With this program, you got constant care. My coach, Rachel, talks to me every week. We talk about what's going on in my body. We tweak the program to make it work, and it makes that plateau irrelevant. Your coach, you're motivated. You know what's going to happen to your body. And, again, simple and easy, and there's a guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of that target weight at the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. Join me now. You won't regret it. Visit myphdweightloss.com.
This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
It is red hot in Music City.
On Wednesday, August 16th.
My God, listen to that.
AEW Dynamite and Rampage invade the Bridgestone Arena for a massive night of elite professional wrestling action in Nashville.
We have got a red hot show in store for you tonight.
Don't miss the AEW World Champion MJF.
I'm better than you.
Chris Jericho in the JAS.
I am the Wizard. I am the Ocho. I am Chris Jericho.
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Dr. Britt Baker. John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Bryan Danielson, Wheeler Yuta, Chris Statlander, The Acclaim.
Everyone! Love!
The Outcasts, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, Keith Lee, Orange Cassidy, Ricky Starks, Adam Cole. Wardlow, Swerve, Hangman Page, Hook, Darby Allin, Sting.
This is Sting!
Nashville's own Jeff and Karen Jarrett, and all your favorite stars will be in action live.
Well, that's huge.
Don't miss AEW's only Nashville appearance this year at the Bridgestone Arena. Tickets are on sale now. Go to AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It was probably the first game you ever played that didn't count. I mean,
I played some jamborees and youth football, you know, like, those are always fun. But
Today's about getting better. I mean, did you have the examples in the games to learn from in this one?
Specific examples?
Were there scenarios that you were presented with, you're like, man, I really got to be in this play, in this situation?
I mean, I mentioned just the second to last play there. I'm moving out of the pocket. I'm throwing off platform, but it's a throw that I can make, and I know I can make that throw. And if I put that on him, he can catch and run, and it's a different ballgame. And I'm feeling a lot better about myself right now. So that's one. Other than that, operationally, a couple good things came up just from in the run game, like understanding where we want our combinations to go to, and a couple plays where I could have made it a little easier for us. So those are always good to learn from. And then, those are definitely two ones that come to mind.
There you go. That was Will Levis on his day on Saturday. I am not some sort of Will Levis fangirl bobo, but I will stand up for him when I think it is justified, and I think now it is justified because the Will Levis haters were on full display yesterday, calling him a bust, calling him terrible, all of these things about Will Levis, and I just don't think it's fair. I think that Will Levis had a fine day yesterday. I think he showed some really good things. I think he showed that he has some things that he needs to work on, but overall, I think we can all feel encouraged.
He played like a guy that's playing in his first NFL game. Matter of fact, he may have played a little bit better than that. And maybe this is the reason, because I just got a text from a good friend of mine. Maybe this is the reason why a small group of fans, no matter what Will Levis does, will just be against him because he's not Hendon Hooker.
A lot of texters in the text line are saying that. It's all coming from Tennessee fans.
Exactly.
They hate Kentucky. But, Derrick Henry went to Alabama.
But that's different. It's different.
It?
Yeah, because it's not like it was between Derrick Henry and another, All-American running back that just went to Tennessee and they chose to go with Derrick Henry instead of that UT guy. But even that, they couldn't fuss now. But his first year or two, if that was the case, they probably would have fussed. See, we could have got the Tennessee guy. We got Derrick Henry. Look, he doesn't like to run between tackles. He's running timid. We all know everything that was being said about Derrick Henry his first and second year.
There were doubters.
Exactly. He was, but there were still doubters out there
of
him in the NFL. So that could be a reason. And if that is your reason, then shame on you. Really, shame on you. If you don't like Will Levis, I can understand you're not liking him because you're not liking the Kentucky part. Like, when I was in college, I hated him, Kentucky part, okay?
Yeah.
That's like me, Tom Brady playing for the Tennessee Titans, but I hate Tom Brady because he went to Michigan. Yes, I dislike that he went to Michigan. I don't dislike him.
Yeah.
I hope he does well with the team that I'm rooting for. But it seems like UT fans, some of them, they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. You can win a Super Bowl for them. They'll find something wrong because you didn't go to UT. If we're picking between a UT guy and a UT guy and a Kentucky guy.
Do you think it would be different if Levis had lit up Tennessee? Like, I think part of the argument seems to stem from the fact that he really didn't look good against Tennessee.
And also,
or Vanderbilt, for that matter, right? So people in Nashville, they saw him play.
Subtle dig, Willy.
Threw it in there. But there are reasons for it, right?
But if you saw him play throughout the whole season.
It's such a small snapshot of what he is. So that should not influence what you see going forward. And even if you're like, man, I saw him against Vanderbilt in Tennessee, he didn't look so good. You should still have an open mind. Let's let the guy play a little bit. Let's watch him develop and see. So it's a dynamic that exists all over Twitter, a preconceived notion, and you go out and you state your opinion, you throw your stake in the ground, and you stand by it, and you look for examples to back yourself up so you look good on Twitter, which is a dumb game to play, but that's the game a lot of people play on Twitter.
Right.
Instead of saying, you know what, I was wrong. Or, hey, I'm going to wait and see a little bit here. You could state your opinion. Say, look, I didn't think they should have drafted Will Levis. But
that's fine.
But let's just see how he goes here and let the chips fall.
And I'm not saying that you need to love Will Levis, that everyone needs to have a Will Levis signed poster above their beds that they kiss in the morning. But at least, let it play out.
That would be weird.
That would be weird. But if you do that, then fine. More power to you. I'm not going to yuck anyone's yum. But at least let it play out. At least not call the kid a bust before he even takes a snap in the NFL. And I would agree that I do think that there's a big portion of Tennessee fans that are maybe, their number one team are the Tennessee Vols and the number 2 team is the Tennessee Titans, and they just cannot for the life of them cheer for a player who used to wear blue and white. I get it. That's fine. But it's even beyond that, because I remember it was after draft night, and this is a clip that Jared plays all the time, and it makes me laugh every single time. It's a former NFL general manager, and I can't remember who it is for the life of me. But he called Will Levis a Don Juan for having his girlfriend.
Yeah, I
Rich
remember
Gannon.
that.
It was
Rich Gannon.
Yeah.
His girlfriend, his sisters, and his mom with him at the draft. So his family members, the people that are most close to him in his life, calling him a Don Juan basically because his mom's too hot. Like, what? And, a lot of people, the Twitter usage or the posting selfies on social media, maybe that's part of it. But, man.
But what is he? My thing is, okay, that was then. I understand, for whatever reason you don't like the individual. That's your own deal. That's something you got to sort of get through.
Right.
If you're a Vol fan and don't like Kentucky people. I don't know. But it is what it is. But to me, once he's on your team, he's on your team, right? Like, forget everything else that you may not like about him because he played at Kentucky or he played at Michigan. He's on your team now. Like, I cheer for Hassan Haskins because I want him to make the team because I think he can help the team, even though he didn't help himself much this past weekend. The other guys helped themselves. Chestnut and Spears helped themselves more than Haskins did. But I'm still rooting for Haskins to make the team. I'm still rooting for him to do well. I don't like the school he went to.
And that's fine.
But I still root because now he's a Tennessee Titan, so I'm rooting for him. Why Vol fans just can't be like that? Some, not all Vol fans. There are some Vol fans, and I'm pretty sure there's a small group of Vol fans that are Titan fans that are still wishing, Will Levis's demise in the football world.
It used to be a little awkward, I'll be honest, when Peyton Manning was on the Colts and they would play the Titans. There were plenty of Tennessee fans that really were in a dilemma. They loved Peyton Manning so much, they didn't separate. I'm sure there were some Titans fans going, no way, man, I'm not rooting for Peyton Manning against the Titans. But the Titans were a new team, very new, brand new, and Peyton Manning was their favorite college player for forever, right? It was they named their dogs after him and stuff like that.
But that's different.
It was awkward.
Their children.
And you guys beat him in the playoffs very early in his career. And so I remember that being a thing for a while. Then for a while, his teams were really good and the Titans weren't very good. And people were like, well, I just love Peyton. The Titans aren't any good anyway, so I'm going to root for Peyton. There was some of that going on, too.
Tennessee fans are just a special breed.
Yeah. Different. They're different.
They are special breeds. 615-737-1025. We'll get into your phones on this. Our phone lines are lighting up, so we're right to those coming up next. Plus, our thoughts on the offensive line. First team, second team, third team. TD in 30 minutes. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. And also, you can tune into our show and the Chase McCabe show as we broadcast live from Titans training camp. We'll get player interviews and deliver the latest updates with Titans practice as the team preps for the 2023 season. Coverage of Titans training camp is presented by the Simmons Bank Open, Parman Energy, Caudle Vet Clinic, and the new Cumberland Development. 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
It's a long summer. But don't worry. Hockey will be back soon. You'll hear every slap shot, save, hit, and of course,
knocked down in front, rebound, and a score!
On your home for Smashville, 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. Is it October yet?
33 hours of savings this Thursday, Friday, Saturday at Electronic Express. These deals are so hot they only last 33 hours. Get a TCL 55-inch 4K TV only $269, or an Avanti laundry pair just $379 each. Save up to 50% on 4K TVs, computers, Bluetooth speakers, appliances, and more. Don't miss out on an Avanti top freezer refrigerator only $499, or a Lenovo laptop for only $349. 33 hours of savings this Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture, eat strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Join ESPN 1025 The Game, Brentwood Fire and Police, the Williamson County Sheriff's Office, and Nolensville Fire and Rescue for the 10th annual Williamson County Battle of the Badges Blood Drive, Wednesday, August 16th from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Brentwood Library on Concord Road, sponsored by B.L. Harbert International. You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
Our fleet vehicle program is a great benefit to all the fleet companies in Nashville. We are able to get their vehicle back on the road a lot quicker than the downtime of most dealers and most general repair shops, simply because we have the transmissions available. We're able to put priority on their vehicles to get them back on the road quickly.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike three.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt head coach Jerry Stackhouse. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
I think a little bit more humility would have helped him. He's got an amazing family, obviously a beautiful mom and sister and girlfriend. They were all with him in the draft room. My advice, maybe just one of the three and not all three. I mean, he came off looking a little bit like, this Don Juan, like, Joe Namath. I got, these three lovely ladies on my side. And again, I'm not trying to suggest that it's not okay to have your mom or your girlfriend, your sister. This is a big moment for these players.
But you are questioning.
You are full of damn contradictions,
Come on, Rich.
okay? You're full of damn contradictions, Rick.
What is he
Rich.
doing? Me every time. Former NFL general manager Rich Gannon. Hey, if you've got a hot mom, sister, and girlfriend, just bring one.
Just bring one of them.
Because it's a bad look when you bring all three of them. I mean, it makes me laugh because that might be the craziest take I have ever heard. Ever.
Oh, my goodness.
We
have a hot limit here, please. You got 3 hot ones. No, you can only take 2.
We got
Give
a
me
heat
one.
check.
Give me one. The other ones just stay in the back.
Yeah,
because we got too many of them in there already.
If you wouldn't mind, just find an uglier girlfriend and bring her to the draft.
Separate them.
Just ridiculous.
But a different table.
Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe. Hey, Mom, would you mind maybe not being here for draft night?
You're too hot.
Yeah, you look too good in your dress. What a weird thing to say.
But then he says, well, I know it's a big day and you want all your family out. Well, Rich, if that's the case, shut your damn mouth.
D-Mase just give him a Richard. He's not even just Rich.
Yes, Richard. That's what you are, Richard. You're not Rich Gannon. You're Richard
Juan.
and that just proves
Don's
my
brother.
point. Yeah, Don's brother, Richard Gannon. It just proves my point that I feel like Will Levis has gotten so much unnecessary hate, has gotten so much unnecessary criticism, and it really came to, in full force for me on Saturday afternoon after the game, and yesterday, just reading some Titans fans' reactions to Will Levis's day, that I thought he had a fine day. I thought there were some really good plays that Will Levis made, but nope, he's a bust. He's a bust.
An unbelievable tradition that we all have, we're all guilty of it, is overreacting to the first preseason game. Anyway, so you throw that tradition on top of all this other stuff, and you have what we have.
Yeah.
Don Juan.
Don Juan with, hot sister's mom and girlfriend.
Yeah.
Let's get to your phones on this. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Cameron texts in, says, this Homer radio is so annoying. WHMR, to take a page out of Robbie and Rexroad's playbook. WHMR, Homer radio. Levis sucked at Kentucky and looked exactly the same in the preseason game. You're all acting like he's out there playing like Mahomes and a bunch of hillbillies are just pouting. I never said hillbilly. You did.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the fact that he played at Kentucky. The anger comes from the fact that he played like crap at Kentucky and we drafted him. Let's talk about this because this past season at Kentucky,
it wasn't good.
It wasn't very good. 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He got sacked no fewer than 275 times. It's dramatic. But let's talk about that. Because Levis's first season at Kentucky, he had Liam Cohen as his offensive coordinator, an NFL offensive coordinator who left in Levis's second year. So he's running a different offense under a different offensive coordinator in 2022 than in 2021. In 2022, I think Kentucky had the worst offensive line in college football. They gave up 5 sacks to Northern Illinois. I can't name a single player that has either played for Northern Illinois or came out from Northern Illinois, but gave up 5 sacks. And I know I can't put that all in the offensive line.
D. Hill.
All right, well then
he
I
played with the
corrected.
Titans when I was here. That's the only
I
reason
stand
I know.
corrected. Yeah. But it was a bad line. He was throwing to 2 true freshman receivers, and his running back, Chris Rodriguez, who was a big part of the offense in 2021, was suspended for the first part of the season. So, I don't want to make excuses for Will Levis, but I don't think that those are excuses. I think it's more so an explanation as to why he took a step back year 2 from year 1.
Well, despite all of this, he was consensus first-round pick that slipped to the second round. It's not like the Titans jumped up early in the first round and did something that nobody was thinking anybody would do. It was the opposite. He fell, and he was sitting there in the second round. So everybody had the same information. It's not like the Titans had some different alternate storyline that the rest of the league didn't. So I like the fact that he is a second-round pick, and he's competing with Malik Willis, and he's going to earn it. I think that could be the best thing that's ever happened to him, pathway-wise, rather than be in this group that's being picked apart right now in the headlines. I haven't seen one of Will Levis's passes on any of the TV stations nationally. It's all Stroud, it's Richardson,
Young,
and he would be in that group had he been picked in the first round.
Yeah. For one, the texter must not listen to the show a lot, because why in the hell would he call us homers? I don't think any one of us are homers when it comes to the Tennessee Titans. We tell it how we see it, and each one of us at times have different views.
Right.
But we never make excuse for the Tennessee Titans. When they're doing bad, we say they're doing bad. When they're doing good, we say they're doing good. That's not Homer radio, last I checked. That's just calling it how it is. Now, in regards to, listen, he didn't play well his first year. I mean, his last year at Kentucky.
Right.
Everybody understands that. The scouts that scouted him and still said he was a first-round prospect even recognized that, hey, listen, he didn't play well that last year. But because they have the ability to look further in depth than our texter, they still believed that he was a first-round talent. You take the 2 years together, combine them, what are you from what we've seen on tape? You are a first-round talent. You didn't get drafted in the first round, but you're a first-round talent.
Because he was a Don Juan.
Exactly, because he has, 3 hot people in his corner. His mom, his sister, and his girlfriend. But with that being said, give the kid an opportunity to prove himself. Walk in, allow him to do the things necessary for your team. Now, texter, if you're not a Tennessee Titan fan, then okay, you can have that view. But if you are a Titan fan and you want the best for this Titan team, give the young man an opportunity to learn this league. How many times did you go to your – what happened when you went to your job the first day? I would love that. I love for the texter to ask that. What happened to you on your first time? Did you have it all figured out? Did you go just 100% I didn't do anything wrong the first day? Like everything just flowed so well that first day that you just knew that this was the job for me. No, it doesn't work that way. everybody, when they're stepping in there that first time, they're going to have their hiccups. You just hope they learn from it and move on. We haven't seen enough of Will Levis to say that he's a bust. We haven't seen enough of Will Levis to say anything other than, hey, listen, he's a rookie quarterback learning the system. He did some things good. He did some things bad that he needed to improve on. That's the same thing as Malik Willis last year.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't play great. This year, he started off pretty good. But there still are things that he needs to get better at. Allow Willis the same sort of leeway. Allow him to learn, get himself adapted to this league before you just all of a sudden, oh, he's a bust. Look at what he did in Kentucky.
We're very early in this novel, right? This is going to be the discussion next year, presumably, if they move on from Tannehill. Can you imagine, we're watching this right now after one preseason game, but fast forward a year, there is going to be presumably a pretty interesting development path for both of these guys. What do they decide to do? Another layer, this has nothing to do with Rich Gannon and the Don Juan, but from the Tennessee angle, what we haven't mentioned, there's a texter. Hendon Hooker will never start an NFL game, and Will Levis will. That's all I know. But I think there's a little bit of that from Tennessee fans, too. They watched Hendon Hooker light it up. The Titans could have chosen Hendon Hooker, even in the second round, but they chose Levis. And I think there's some Tennessee fans who are like, well, I watched Hooker live. I think Hooker's better. That's natural, right? Yeah. For you to watch your own guy. You watched him a lot more than you watched Levis, and you wonder why nobody took Hooker.
It could be a totally different story had Tennessee not had their best quarterback since Peyton Manning in this same draft class and available for the Titans to draft. But let's not forget, Hendon Hooker comes with his fair share of questions as well. No quarterback is going to come in and be a sure thing. Heck, Bryce Young went first overall. He's got his fair share of questions. C.J. Stroud went second overall. He's got his fair share of questions. So Hendon Hooker doesn't come without questions. And you can pledge your allegiance to the Big Orange all day long. You can have your skepticisms or questions about any of these quarterbacks, but for crying out loud, quit calling the kid a bust.
He hasn't played enough football. Y'all are using this word bust too loosely, okay? He has played altogether probably a quarter of football altogether, maybe a quarter and a half with his 6 opportunities, a quarter and a half of football, and you're already deeming him a bust? Like, seriously? You know who did the best, though, of all these quarterbacks?
Who?
My man Stetson Bennett. My man, what did I tell y'all? My man Stetson Bennett. Yes. I am a huge Stetson Bennett fan.
And I don't hear the Georgia fans crying about Will Levis.
They could have had Stetson.
They could have had Stetson Bennett. Oh.
10 years from now, we may be looking back on this quarterback draft class that was absolutely stacked. And Stetson Bennett's the one that emerges as the best. Another texter says, out of the top 4 quarterbacks drafted this year, 3 of them threw interceptions yesterday. The only one who didn't was Bryce Young, and even he only completed 4 out of 6 passes for a total of 21 yards. I think it's a bit too early to say that Levis is a bust.
Or any of them.
Exactly.
Right?
You can't say that quite yet.
Why did those guys play so little? Wouldn't you have those guys playing at least a half?
Well, you want to
get them out there. They need
but
to
if
play.
You're not going to play your first unit with them,
I guess. But still, you don't want to get them killed.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I would keep the first unit out there a little bit more in some of these cases. I was really surprised. 2 series. One of them played only 2 series.
Yeah. Well, that's your prized possession. You don't want them out there too long.
But you got to play. You got to get better.
Yeah. No, I feel you on it. But I don't want them to get hurt. If I'm a GM, I'm taking them out too.
The Chiefs put Mahomes out there. For all the people who are saying, "Oh, you can't put your starters in there," some still do. Some still put the starters out there a little bit, series or 2.
And what if Patrick Mahomes gets hurt?
Right.
The Chiefs are screwed.
Right.
Screwed.
The world would end.
Sam says that your first day on the job analogy is weak. He says because his interview process was bad. We knew watching him in college that he would be bad, so we're mad that this guy got hired in the first place.
How was his interview process bad? We didn't see the interview process.
I think he means like his play in college, making that an analogy to his interview process.
Well, he had a really good year the year before. Then he had a not so good year. Again, just like if I'm in school, I may have a really good junior year in the classroom, and my senior year, because it's senior year, it may not be as good. But it doesn't mean that I'm not qualified to do my job. When I come in for the interview and we go through the interview process, you hire me, I still have to learn what you want me to do. Mm-hmm. And I may mess up the first few times. Are you going to hold that against me as an employee? No, because you're expecting me to mess up a few times. But what you're expecting too is to not get the same mess ups over and over again. That's all this is. His junior year was really, really good. He should have came out his junior year. He'd have been high. He would have been drafted a lot higher. He might have been the only quarterback that won the first one, or two quarterbacks that won the first, because Pittsburgh drafted Kenny Pickett in the first round. So he might have been the second guy drafted in the first round. Hell, he might have got drafted before Kenny Pickett. So he has a really good junior year. Senior year wasn't as good. But those that are in power still evaluate him. Most of them evaluate him as a first-round guy.
But this is also part of the issue. When you are a college football fan and you're an amateur scout and you watch a guy a lot, like
you're not even an amateur scout, Willie. You're not a scout at all.
Not at all. But we watch football. We love football. Yeah. In the SEC, you probably watched a good bit of Kentucky games, and you're influenced by that. Contrast that with, say, Ben Roethlisberger, who played at Miami, Ohio. Most people probably never heard of him until the very end.
His games were not wasn't as good.
Right, but his games weren't on TV very much. You didn't watch him play very much, so you didn't watch his ups, his downs. Steve McNair, another one. He became sort of a phenomenon his very, very last year, but his games were on TV for years, right? We didn't have this big thing. Like, I remember as a kid, the Giants drafted Phil Simms in the first round. I was like, Phil Simms? Who in the heck is Phil Simms? Morehead State? Where's Morehead State? What state is that in? I had no idea. But it doesn't mean that you can't be a good quarterback. We used to compare Jay Cutler, Vince Young, and Matt Leinart. Two of them playing for stacked teams, some of the greatest college football teams ever.
Two of them played in maybe the best college football game of all time.
Yes, and then you're comparing him in Nashville to Jay Cutler, who we watched play a lot for some very struggling Vanderbilt teams that he was elevating. But it was a little bit like Levis in that he's trying to elevate an inferior supporting cast. And who was the best pro quarterback among the three? It wasn't even close.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Jay Cutler was way better. Not that he lit the world on fire, but he lasted a lot longer than the other two and was much more effective as a quarterback.
So, two mystery quarterbacks. One threw for 2,500 yards, 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, had a quarterback rating of 131. The second threw for 2,400 yards, 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, had a quarterback rating of 151.9. One of those quarterbacks went 4th overall, and one of those quarterbacks is Will Levis. So, you can't take Anthony Richardson didn't have a good year at Florida. He didn't. But he had, and I'm not saying that Will Levis is Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson has an incredibly high ceiling and is incredibly physical and has traits of an elite quarterback. I know. But just using the he had a bad year in college last year kind of excuse, I think is lazy. Let's get back into your thoughts on this coming up next, though. 615-737-1025. TD will join us in 15 minutes. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase is brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
It's going down. They fight.
Jared, you're how do you know, Joe? How do you know?
And fight.
And because of that,
how do you know that, though? How do you know that? But that's okay. It's Jared and Joe. At Pella Windows and Doors and Parman Tractor and Equipment on Stillman and Company. Wednesdays at 5 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Hey, time to tell you once again about my friends at F&M Bank. They've just added a roundup feature to their debit card because they know a little change can go a long way, especially when you're trying to save money. It's one of the things that go under the umbrella of banking made easy on purpose through F&M Bank. F&M's debit card roundup is called the Smart Swipe. So what you do is you use this as a tool to save some money. You buy, say, a cup of coffee for $5.28. The Smart Swipe, if you choose to do it, would round up the purchase to $6. You save the 72 cents. You do that several times during the week. Over time, you're going to save some money. Very simple tool that goes a long way. And you would build your savings every time you use that debit card. So, just an example of how F&M Bank can make it easy for you. And there's so many different ways they do that for their customers, depending on where you are in your life, what you need with your finances, whether you own a small business. There's a lot of things that you can do. Visit them online at myfmbank.com and find one of the 20 branches that's near you in our listening area. I promise you, you're near one of them. myfmbank.com. It's outstanding, and we will always take it to the bank on Friday to end the show. Member FDIC.
Real estate investors, get ready for an incredible opportunity. D&M Development is thrilled to announce the Phase 1 presale of 16 non-owner occupied short-term rentals in Nashville's exclusive resort-style community, the New Cumberland. Nestled between Germantown and East Nashville, this exceptional location offers stunning views of the city and the Cumberland River. Each unit features spacious kitchens, 4 bedrooms, and 4 baths, providing the ultimate luxury experience for your guests. Resort-style pools and a wide range of amenities. Don't miss out on this exclusive investment chance. Visit thenewcumberland.com for more information and secure your spot in this extraordinary community.
Hey, Tennessee, when you bet on Zen Sports, the new sportsbook in town, you get the best reward possible. Cold, hard cash. You bet with your own money, so why accept anything less from your rewards program? With Zen Sports, you earn cash on your bets, cash on your referrals bets, and a welcome bonus in, you guessed it, cash. So stop settling for Vegas rewards when we're in Tennessee. Cash in your old sportsbook for Zen Sports. Your wallet will thank you later. Zen Sports. Betting just got better. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up and in Tennessee to bet.
Oh, Charlie's, that's where you'll find me. That southern flavor got me saying, hey, y'all. And ooh, that gooey caramel pie tastes like summertime at Old Charlie's.
The sweet, sweet sounds of this song are in honor of the sweet, sweet news that Free Pie Wednesdays are back at O'Charlie's. O'Charlie's. Oh, that's good.
Yum, yum, have some fun. O'Charlie's, born in Nashville, and it shows.
Parman Energy is your one-stop petroleum solution across all of Tennessee, offering turnkey petroleum solutions for professionals in major industries, serving trucking fleets, construction companies, industrial plants, and more. Whether a large corporation or owner-operator, Parman Energy has your diesel fuel, lubricant, DEF, and equipment needs. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman. Visit ParmanEnergy.com for more info. Your Tennessee petroleum solution, providing totally outrageous customer service.
Sometimes it's good to be loud.
This is the NFL.
Especially when you're Jared Stillman.
That's where we are.
He's not afraid to say what's on his mind each and every day.
That was embarrassing. I don't care if you're a rookie. That was embarrassing.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Hey, join 102.5 The Game and 106.3 The Game this Sunday for MTSU Athletics Fan Day. Fans can come out to see the football, volleyball, and track and field teams as the fall season is just weeks away. You can get autographs, enjoy live music, along with inflatables, face painting, and balloon artists for the kids. The fun will be at Floyd Stadium from 3 to 5 this Sunday. You won't want to miss out. So my point at the beginning of the hour was I think that Will Levis just gets unfair criticism. And I don't think that you need to be Will Levis's number one fan. I'm not saying that you can't have questions or skepticisms about what Will Levis can eventually be for this team in the National Football League. But I've seen so many people throw out the B word for Will Levis, bust, and that's not fair after one preseason game. It is not fair. After, about a half of an evaluation from Will Levis, you can't call him a bust just because you had some issue with Will Levis going into the season or on draft night. But let's get back into your thoughts on this. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. TD will join us in 5 minutes. But one texter texts in an interesting question and says, I have no problem with Will Levis, but will anything short of winning a Super Bowl change the anti-Will Levis people's minds?
I don't know.
It's pretty lofty expectations.
Yeah, that is like, whew. Man, I hope he does win a Super Bowl. I mean, I hope the organization wins one soon here, whether it's Will Levis at the helm or any other quarterback. Malik Willis, I don't care, as long as they win one. But I don't know. Maybe it changes people's perspective. Maybe they just need to see him, in a regular season game as the number one quarterback in order for them to, sort of change their thoughts on Will Levis. Because even right now, I think to some people he's not cemented as a quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. He's not their number one quarterback. Or in some people's mind, he's not the quarterback of the future. So, I guess until he gets in at quarterback as the guy, I don't think some people's perception of him will change, because it has no reason to change other than you're only going to make people's perception change. The only reason you change it is if you're out there and you're playing. And if you're doing well, then their perception will change. But as long as you're not playing, not the number one guy, they're going to continue to go back to, what he did in college and all the rest of this stuff.
I mean, Joe Burrow's never won a Super Bowl. Josh Allen hasn't won a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson hasn't won a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts hasn't won a Super Bowl. Justin Herbert hasn't won a Super Bowl. But I think that all of their respective fan bases really love their quarterbacks and believe in their quarterbacks. So I don't want to say that that's what it's going to have to take for Will Levis to prove himself as a starting quarterback in the National Football League.
He just has to play winning football when he does.
If people don't believe in him, then they're not going to believe in him. And that's fine. I think the only people that he has to change their minds are the people that are calling the shots. That he can prove to them that he's going to be a starting quarterback in this league. And again, I don't know if he can be.
The other part of this, he's not going to be handed the job. He is going to have to win this job. And that should say something, because there are quarterbacks that end up, I guess, for lack of a better term, sort of being, people turn on you. Let's take Wilson from the Jets last year. Pretty much handed the job and flunked, right? And so now he is battling this failure thing. I don't know if he's ever going to get another chance. I mean, he's still on the roster. Maybe someday he'll get another crack at it down the road. But when you crash and burn after you're handed the job as a high first-round pick, that's hard to overcome. Levis, once we get over this initial thing, he's going to have to prove himself just to get on the field and play, because Malik Willis, to his credit, is getting better and pushing him. Tannehill's still the quarterback, so there's a long way to go before we ever see Will Levis on the field. And that might be a good thing for Will Levis, because over time, the fans will gravitate towards somebody who earns the job, and hopefully when he earns the job, he would do it well.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. TD will join us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the preseason games. We'll head to Tehran Davenport. Coming up next, Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Genesis Diamond's most extreme value on diamonds is coming to an end. You have until Sunday at 5 p.m. to get the price of a lifetime on a certified GIA diamond ring.
Response has been incredible. People have driven for hours to buy like a dealer buys. All GIA certified diamond rings are on sale. A full 20% discount off Genesis' amazing everyday value price.
We're talking values you never thought possible. From a half carat to 20 carat diamonds, all hand-picked for maximum brilliance and all graded by the most prestigious largest gem lab in the world.
Don't be surprised to see jewelry store owners and diamond dealers shopping alongside you.
Genesis has the largest GIA diamond selection you've ever seen. Rounds, ovals, radiance, cushion cuts, pear shapes, emerald cuts, princess cuts.
And now through Sunday, you can take advantage of this rare buying opportunity. Limit one per customer, please.
Get the Genesis no middleman direct importer price minus an extra 20% on all GIA diamond engagement rings. Now through Sunday only at Genesis Diamonds.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
See store for details.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike three.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
It's time to let your voice be heard. Nashville is headed to a runoff in the mayoral race on Thursday, September 14th. Stand up and be counted. Cromwell Media reminds you to get out and vote for the future of our city.
Now, your Game Center update.
This is Nick Frazier with your Game Center update. The Nashville Sounds MLB affiliate Milwaukee Brewers won yesterday by a score of 7-3. Former Sounds Sal Frelick and Andrew Monasterio each recorded an RBI in yesterday's victory over the Chicago White Sox. The Tennessee Titans lost in their preseason opener 23-17 to the Chicago Bears. Here was Mike Vrabel on what the team needs to work on going forward.
Well, I think it's just the game conditioning, just being able to point out, like, you think that during practice that you're tired or there's a water break or the horn blows, like that was what really showed up as the drive wore on, or the ability to get off the field. Same way as on the first drive, if we're able to convert first downs and go down there and ultimately score. So
tune in later this week as the Chase McCabe Show and Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase will be live from Titans training camp right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 1025 and 1063.
79-52 Vanderbilt. And I think he's going to coach up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook. Download their app today and use promo code THEGAME. And joining us now is TD Teron Davenport. TD, you were in Chicago for the Titans preseason game on Saturday. What's your evaluation of the two quarterbacks, Malik Willis and Will Levis, and what they did on Saturday?
Well, I like what they did as far as how they rotated them. Mike Vrabel spoke about that, how it helped set them up for a situation where they'll be called into duty as a backup, without, previous notice. I thought that was really good that they did that, just as far as rotating series. But as for the quarterbacks themselves, I think Malik Willis did a really good job in that opening drive. He executed the 2-minute period towards the end of the first half as well to get him in position for a field goal. So those were some good things. I'm sure there's some throws that he would like to have back, but overall I think he did a good job, and they held on to the ball a little too much. That's something that I will say for sure. Will Levis, he had a couple nice throws where he was able to layer it like he has been working on, and that's something that needed to be improved, and he showed that on Saturday.
TD is with us. We were kind of throwing this around earlier in the show and wanted to get your thoughts on Will Levis's final two throws of the game. In that second to last throw, he got pressured, stepped up in the pocket, had kind of an off-platform throw, just a little bit wide left, and then that final interception to end the game. Obviously wasn't, throws that Will Levis is, thinking about in pride probably today, probably throws that he wished that he could have back. But what did you think of Will Levis in that final drive?
Yeah, that throw to Gavin Holmes on that crosser, that was That was a touchdown, probably. But I think, when you look at what he was able to do, step up in the pocket to avoid the sack and then move to his right a little bit, and he changed the trajectory to be able to kind of like wrap it around the defender that was closing on him. That's a tough throw to make. It's one that if you're going to be a starting quarterback, you have to be able to do. But, I commend him for being able to at least get it off, and that's something that, if he could got that in time ahead of Holmes, that would have been a touchdown. The last one, that was one of those, like, you got no choice, right? You gotta get rid of the ball, and he said that he thought someone was coming underneath, like across the middle, and it didn't happen, and it was a mix-up, and that's pretty much it.
We'll talk with Teron Davenport. Now, Teron, you did bring up the guys holding on to the ball a little bit too long, and we discussed that in the first two segments of the show. And I would love to go back to watch the All-22 when it does come out, because on the TV copy, you only get a glimpse of what's going on. So I don't know if they were covered or he just didn't make the right decisions. What did you see? Because you were there.
Yeah, there were a couple where they were covered, but there was one, Willis had it, and Mason Kinsey was coming open on a deep crosser. And it looked like he saw it, but for whatever reason didn't throw it. But he was coming open, and if he could have just, released it, threw it to that spot where Kinsey was going to, that would have been a completion and not a sack. So that's something. It's going to happen, right? Because you look at these guys. This is their first time in live action, in a while, right? Their first taste of preseason, as opposed to being able, like today, there was a Ryan Tannehill throw that would have been a sack. But it was a nice pass to Traylon Burks, and everybody's like, oh, that was a good pass. But then it would have been a sack. You know what I mean? So it's so much different, as you know, from practice to a game. So I wouldn't be surprised if that gets better next Saturday, because it gets a part of their, better feel for the game.
Now, what do you think of the offensive line, the first unit? I'm not going to go to the second unit because those guys, I hope we never have to go that far down the depth chart. But to me, and tell me if you agree, TD, to me, the offensive line held up. I think they were better than what I would have expected. But there's still some things they need to work at. I think, the center position, he's going to have to buckle down really, really strong, because he was getting pushed back into the Aaron Brewer was getting pushed back into the pocket a few times. But beside that, what did you see of that offensive line?
Yeah, that Andrew Billings, man, that is one of the strongest guys in the league, low key. A lot of people don't know that, but yeah, that dude is something. But you're right, they pride themselves on protecting the pocket inside out. That's why their 11th overall pick was a guard. You know what I mean? That they put him to guard. So that is something that has to improve. I think overall they did a good job. I actually asked Mike Vrabel about the offensive line, and he liked the way that they were, working against the stunts, and also, their combo blocks in the run game, and those things were solid. So I think when you go back and you look at it, that first drive, 75 yards, they drove down the field and punched it in for a touchdown, with Malik Willis, a 2-yard run. So I think they did well. I would like to have seen them have another series. And, a couple of the guys, they said that they, obviously they're going to go with what the coaches say, but they wouldn't have minded playing a bit longer also and talking to them.
Teron Davenport with us, evaluating the Titans preseason opener in Chicago. Teron, I was really excited to see Elijah Molden healthy and buzzing around out there. He appears to me to be a guy that could really tip the scales a little bit for this defense, to have him out there. It's like, we haven't seen him in so long. It's been so long since he's been healthy. I liked how he flashed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he is a really good option for them, and they like to use some of those three safety looks. So you'll see him on the field with Hooker and Kevin Byard, which is a good thing. That's what we saw before. He had the injury, and when he was playing primarily nickel corner, that versatility is really good that he brings. The thing I like about him the most obviously the run support, but I think he's a talented blitzer. You know, he has a way of being able to time the snap and get that good jump and get in there and get some pressure. They blitzed him a couple times against the Bears, and that's going to be something to watch. And if you remember a couple years ago, 2019, Dean Pease with Logan Ryan, he was blitzing him all the time. I think Ryan had, four sacks or something along those lines. So that's excellent production out of your secondary, and that's what I think Elijah Molden could do.
How do you think they arrived at who played and who did it on defense? You know, we just talked about the starting offensive line had a really nice drive. They took him out, and they called it a day. We didn't hardly see any of the starters on defense play at all. Why do you think that was?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think they, for the most part, like, hey, you're a starter, you're not playing. Now, obviously, you have that position, that inside backer, next to Azeez Al-Shire, and Monty Rice, he played 7 snaps. Now, Rice wasn't at practice today, so I don't know if there was something to that. You know, I guess we'll see. Jack Gibbons, I think, played 14 or so snaps, but it was all about Chance Campbell. You know, he got a lot of reps there. So I think it's like for a guy like Campbell who was out so long last year. I mean, if you remember, he pretty much spent the year on IR. You know, so getting him those live, actually being able to chase, pursue, and hit was a good thing for him. So I think, you know, there's certain guys that they wanted to make sure got the work, and are guys that, whether they're, you know, new to the team. Eric Garror had a nice showing. So I think it was just more or less just no starters, except for, you know, where there's an intense battle there at inside backer.
It's always tricky to get real perspective on a guy's performance, good or bad. But Tyjae Spears looked really good on that drive. So how did you evaluate what we saw from him in that flash?
Yeah, I think he did look good, and he showed acceleration. He had that one run to the right there that was a pretty good gain, and then he got a stiff arm in there too. So showed, you know, some of the things they're doing with helmet on the stick are transferring to the field from practice. So that's a good thing. But I think Spears, you know, seeing him out of the backfield as a receiver option, just even lining up wide, like when they went in empty, I think that's just a testament to how well he's come along, bringing the playbook down and knowing it inside out to the point where he's used in the passing game.
Teron Davenport is with us. TD, how much were you able to get a feel, if at all, for this new Tim Kelly offense yesterday, or Saturday, rather?
Yeah, I couldn't really get a feel for it because obviously they're just trying different things and trying to go with different looks. It's tough to get a feel also with that offensive line playing the way that they did.
Woof.
You know, a lot of your plays that might be a little more long developing, they weren't happening. You know, Terrell Lewis, who the Bears got from the Rams, he was having his way, and the other guy was at 93. I forget his name, but man, those guys were getting busy. So you couldn't really see or get a feel because of the struggles up front.
And speaking of the struggles up front, one player that I was not impressed with, that was a little bit concerning to me, was Nicholas Petit-Frere. He's playing with a third-team offensive line, but also going up against a third-team defense. He got worked a good bit. I'm a little bit concerned about that, TD.
Yeah, he didn't have a good showing, and that's something to be concerned about. I think he's in an awkward position, man, because you're not getting as many reps working with the third team, and obviously the suspension is looming, and so it's just like it's a very awkward position for him. But that's still not an excuse for what we saw on Saturday, and he's going to have to get better and make the most of these snaps that he's getting, right? Because he's going to want to come back in and be the starter. And if that offensive line, if Chris Hubbard or whoever is there at right tackle, if things are going well, I don't see a reason to just automatically switch back to Petit-Frere and have that whole chemistry disrupted.
Now, TD, also the running back position. No Derrick Henry, obviously, but Tyjae Spears did pretty good. Julius Chestnut also. Hassan Haskins, yes, he did score a touchdown, but if I had to rank these running backs right now based off of what I've seen. Hassan Haskins may be the odd man out. Now, he does do some of their returning on kickoff return, but he's going to have to really do something or show something this year to make this squad.
Yeah, and I think his biggest ticket onto the roster is what he does in coverage, right? Because he led the team in special team tackles. So that's something. And as a fourth running back, you better be able to bring a big advantage to the special teams unit. So, I mean, you're right. He's in danger of not making the roster. And I think, because you mentioned those guys, and Jonathan Ward, you got to put him in there too, right? And he actually, Mike Vrabel pointed it out, how he was able to, force a holding call that had one of the returns pushed back even further. And it was good field position for the defense, going out there and having the Bears offense pinned back some. So, I mean, it's a crowded backfield. And Ward is a guy that they'll use in a similar way to Spears. So it's going to be tough, man, just seeing how everything is in front of them. 5 guys, and, I mean, at a max, they're going to keep 4.
Last one for you, TD. I didn't think I was going to like how they used the quarterbacks, series after series after series. But after watching it and hearing Mike Vrabel's explanation for it, I actually really did like how they alternated series. How do you think that they should approach the quarterback position against the Vikings this weekend?
I think they should do the same thing. Honestly, I asked Mike Vrabel if that was something that a lot of teams do, and naturally, he went towards it worked for us, and that's what we did.
Classic.
But it's not something that you see a whole lot, especially for a whole game. So that was interesting to me. I think they should continue to do it, and that will allow both guys to get time with the better units, right? First team, second team, et cetera. So that'll help as well to try to balance it out. So I think 100% they need to continue to do it that way.
TD, you're the best. Appreciate you. Enjoy the week. We'll chat with you soon.
For sure. Appreciate you. Take care.
All right. Thanks, TD. We'll react to what TD had to say coming up next. Plus, we finally have to get to it. We have to address the offensive line. And we will do that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase is brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet. 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Hey, we are live and local.
I think Vanderbilt is steady, disciplined.
It's been so long since Tennessee's gotten out of the first weekend.
And your source for Nashville sports. I don't mind going to another team.
You want to know what the coaching staff's going to look like?
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is red hot in Music City.
On Wednesday, August 16th.
My God, listen to that.
AEW Dynamite and Rampage invade the Bridgestone Arena for a massive night of elite professional wrestling action in Nashville.
We have got a red hot show in store for you tonight.
Don't miss the AEW World Champion MJF.
I'm better than you.
Chris Jericho in the JAS.
I am a wizard. I am the Ocho. I am Chris Jericho.
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Dr. Britt Baker. John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Bryan Danielson, Wheeler Yuta, Chris Statlander, The Acclaim.
Everyone love!
The Outcasts, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, Keith Lee, Orange Cassidy, Ricky Starks, Adam Cole. Wardlow, Swerve, Hangman Page, Hook, Darby Allin, Sting.
This is Sting!
Nashville's own Jeff and Karen Jarrett, and all your favorite stars will be in action live.
Well, that's huge.
Don't miss AEW's only Nashville appearance this year at the Bridgestone Arena. Tickets are on sale now. Go to AEWTix.com. Card subject to change.
Caroline Fenton here for our friends over at Superbook Sports. Football season is right around the corner, and now is the time to place your preseason bets with Superbook in Tennessee. Superbook is the most trusted name in Vegas, and now you can use promo code Caroline, my name, CAROLINE, to score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they'll match your first bet up to $250 with promo code Caroline. Will Tennessee win the division this year? Who was your pick for MVP? And which team will win it all in February? Don't sit on the sidelines. Win money this season with Superbook Sports. Simply download the Superbook Tennessee app, or you can visit superbook.com to place your wager today. football, a $250 first bet bonus, and the Caroline promo code will make you do your own touchdown dance this season with Superbook Sports. So visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
How did you evaluate the first team O-line in their one drive?
I thought it was efficient. I thought that they did some really good things, and we were able to run the football. We were able to, we had the delay, which, was on everybody, but, ultimately the quarterback and making sure that we're processing everything quickly and getting it to them. But I thought that there were some good looks there of things that we had worked on in practice that, we got some pile push, we got some guys cleaning out the pocket, and we got some movement. We're able to run some different plays, blocked up a gap scheme play really well where there was a lot of space in there. So I think just keep improving and progressing. But, I thought that they did exactly, what I'd hoped that they would do.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel on the first team offensive line on Saturday. And I have to differentiate first team versus the other offensive lines that we saw on Saturday because it was a tale of two different offensive lines. But join 102.5 and 106.3 The Game at Door Jam this Saturday, celebrating Vanderbilt sports at the David Williams Recreation Center. Just dropped a brand new Commodore off at school on their first day today. Very exciting. The fun kicks off at 2 p.m. and will include autograph sessions, photo booths, and lawn games. So head out there to support Vanderbilt athletics as fall sports return in just a few weeks. So thoughts on the let's first team OL first. First team offensive line. I was encouraged by what I saw, taking it with a grain of salt that it was not a very stout Chicago Bears defense that was out 2 of their starting 7 on the front 7. So taking all of that with a grain of salt. But I was encouraged by what I saw from the first team offensive line. I thought Peter Skronsky did good things. I thought for the most part, Chris Hubbard held up fine. So encouraged. The bar's really low for the offensive line. But to Mike Vrabel's point there, I thought they did a fine job.
They did okay, I think. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, especially with this offensive line, considering where they were last season. And granted, listen, there's only, at this particular moment, there's only one guy back from that starting lineup because Nicholas will be suspended for 6 games, and that's Aaron Brewer. Everyone else is new to the offensive line. And it was pleasantly surprising. Again, not to say that they were great, because they were not great by any stretch of the imagination, but they played better than what I expected. But here's the problem. Again, I think that middle of the offensive line may have some issues, especially with Aaron Brewer. Technique-wise, the kid's good. He's just undersized, and I saw 3 or 4 plays where he just was getting pushed back into the line of scrimmage. And, on a few of those plays, they were running away from him anyway, so it really didn't matter. He was just in good position. But, going into the season where you're going to play against starters, like guys that are just coming for you and guys that are legitimately, good, he may have some problems. They may have to do a lot of combo blocking with that center position because he doesn't weigh enough, and he will get pushed back more times than not. But like I said, his technique seemed to be good, so that's a plus. But man, oh man, they're gonna have to stop. People are gonna come. I guarantee you, when they get their game package on a Tuesday, opposing teams, that's going to be one of the things that defenses are going to be looking to do is to bull rush, just straight push him back into the into the quarterback, not swim him, not doing anything else, just straight bull rush him because he's light in the backside. So hopefully they will combo block that with the guards, either the right or left guard, and can help him out on situations. But other than that, I think the offensive line did an okay job.
I wanted to see more from them.
Well,
yeah, I wish they would have played
that was
going to
be the
series,
question I asked you guys.
Yeah.
Why so little for a unit that you would think needs to play and get reps together? I was a little surprised. Now, I understand you have a really nice drive. You got a lot of positives.
You saw what you needed to see.
You saw some good things, and you say, okay, let's stop it there. Let's declare a victory. And now we move ahead. They do have a lot of practices this week that they'll get some reps against the other team, against the Vikings. That being said, I still was a little surprised. It was just one series.
Especially when
even though it's a 12 plays.
Right.
You could have 3 series in 12 plays or 4 series in 12 plays if you're not doing very well.
Like if you went 3 and out, I think
Sure.
you probably would have seen the first team offensive line out in the second series. But especially when you've got a backup quarterback battle and you're going to pull the first team offensive line before the second quarterback gets an opportunity, that was surprising to me, and I didn't agree with it.
And you're trying to protect the quarterbacks too, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're
Right.
putting your quarterbacks in harm's way with that backup offensive line. They got sacked 8 times, and it could have been more.
Which the other offensive lines just didn't do. On my notes, I had Jalen Duncan was one that everything went right past him. There was one, Will Levis's first series, a first sack of the game. It was 3rd and 9, and Jalen Duncan and Xavier Newman were both going after the defender. We just went right through him and went right to Will Levis. Like, I don't know what was going on there. Jalen Duncan allowed another sack at the end of the game. Xavier Newman was the one responsible for the false start penalty at the end of the game that pushed them back 5 yards when it was you need to score to win the game, which, just set them up it set Will Levis up for even more difficulty at the end of the game to get into the end zone. So it was so hard for me to evaluate the quarterbacks because it felt like 75% of the time they just had to get the ball out or they had to be on the run or else they would have been on the ground.
Yeah. I wonder if because I remember the play you're talking about. I think Chicago did a stunt, and I don't think they communicated that well, the offensive line.
Whatever it was.
Yeah, which is still not good,
right.
Because I want to think that a lot of their problems, at least with the, second unit, is not communicating, them not knowing what the next guy is doing. Or their responsibilities, because when these defensive linemen are doing these stunts and twists, you got to know what you're doing as far as, and it has to be like this combo block. I got to know what you're doing, and you got to know what I'm doing. So if they do stunt, we both recognize it, and we both do what's necessary to stop the stunts and the twist. But it just seems like, especially on that one that you did mention, they were just oblivious to what was going on. It wasn't like it was just this, he destroyed the guy in front of him and then beat the other guy. No, it was just they did a stunt, and the guard just totally forgot who he was blocking and ran right up the middle and sacked Will Levis. So I'm hoping a lot of it has to do with communication, where they can fix that. I don't know if I can fix your ability. If you can't block, I don't know how much of that I can fix. But I can fix the communication part. We can be better at that. As long as you can do the job, the communication part, we'll work that out. But if you don't have talent and the ability to block, I can't fix that.
The question to me for the backups is not, do I have a full backup offensive line?
I need a few swings.
Very few teams have that kind of depth, right, where the second offensive line is going to look really good. Most offensive lines weren't great once you get the starters out of there. But do you have 2 or 3 guys, ideally, that you could plug in and say, all right, if we needed to use this guy, is this guy an NFL offensive lineman? That's what you're hoping for with Levin and Ruse. Some of the guys who have been there, are they a year better? How are they developing? Guys that they did have to play some last year. Where do those guys fit? What do you have if you've got to go there? And you hope to not have to go there as often as you had to go there last year, because it really took its toll by the end of the year.
It was rough. Quickly, around the room, do we feel better, worse, or the same about the offensive line after Saturday?
I feel a tad bit better. I need to see next game because they're going to play a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
I feel better than how I felt going into the game, but not much better, but better.
I feel the same. I'm not going to put too much good or bad on that little of a window of playing. I mean, we got a long way to go. I'm glass half full, but I'm not really influenced too much by what happened on Saturday.
Nick?
I am leaning more towards the concerned side of things, just for depth purposes. Offensive line let up, 8 sacks? Is that what it was? Is that what the tallied up to at the end?
8 sacks.
Yeah, that's a little concerning for me, just for depth perspective. But for the starters, hey, that's all right, as long as they stay healthy.
I think I feel the same because I went in feeling concerned.
Yeah.
And I left still feeling concerned.
So, I mean, we're really having a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction if we feel way differently than we have felt, because I think everybody knows that that's a huge concern for the team. It's one of the number one keys of their entire team.
You can feel encouraged by what you saw in that one series while also understanding that it was one series when you're not going up against the Bears starters, when the Bears starters really even aren't all that great.
That wasn't the 85 Bears.
No, not at all.
That was Buddy Ryan in the 46.
It wasn't even 86 Bears.
No. That was pretty good defense. 86.
Exactly.
It's still pretty good.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Coming up next, whose stock is rising, whose stock is falling, what we liked, what we didn't like on Saturday. We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The Vanderbilt Commodores are ready for year 3 under head coach Clark Lee.
As we stand now in front of a clean sheet. Our goal is postseason play.
And we are your home for all of the action.
Touchdown, Vandy. The doors on the board. Vandy, 24-21, your final.
Vanderbilt football lives on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's going on, everybody? This is Derek Mason, D-Mase, here to tell you about Zen Sports, the new sports betting app in Tennessee, revolutionizing the sports betting rewards. Okay? What if I told you that you were wasting your time and money betting on sports books that's not Zen Sports? Zen Sports offer real cash rewards for those lucky enough to be in Tennessee, and that means no funny money, points, or credit, people. For a welcome bonus, earn 5% cash back on every bet you place for your first 15 days with the code D-Mase. That's unlimited 5% cash back on your bets with the code D-Mason. That's D-M-A-S-O-N. And earn up to 3% cash back on your bets after that with the Zen Sports loyalty program. So make the switch today and start betting on Zen Sports. Your wallet or your purse will thank you later. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet in Tennessee. Gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. That's Zen Sports. Betting just got better.
Hey, what's going on? It's Chase McCabe, and I have been telling you about PhD weight loss for a few months now. Dr. Ashley Lucas created this program, and the best part about it is my program is going to be different than your program because we are all different people, and it's tailor-made just for you. I have weekly coaching sessions with Rachel. She keeps me in line and also has adjusted the program as we've gone, and now I'm down 25 pounds since I have been on PhD weight loss. You can do that too, but remember, we're all different, and that's okay. Those weekly one-on-one coaching sessions are important. Customized meal plans. You can use their food, which I like their food. 85% is provided to you if you choose to. Or you can use your food, and they will tell you how to do that, and they'll tweak your program as you go along. Right now, check this out. This is the best part of their program. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. Go to myphdweightloss.com to learn more. Again, that is myphdweightloss.com.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You know why insurance companies use all those cute and funny characters? To distract you from realizing you're only getting one option. If you want to compare prices, you're forced to visit multiple websites just to get one quote at a time. But not with Xander Insurance, because they work for you. Xander is a broker that shops dozens of top companies to find the best competitive rates for the coverage you need, and they keep reviewing your policy every year to make sure you're getting the best value. They're always available to answer questions, handle problems, and make sure that when it comes to insurance, your life is simple and hassle-free. You even have direct access to their senior management team. If your current company or agent doesn't do this much for you, let Xander Insurance help. Compare rates online at Xander.com or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch. When Xander works for you, you're going to see the difference. Again, that's 800-356-1780, or you can visit Xander.com with no characters needed.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Dan Lebitard. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Hey, join 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and come out to the 10th annual Williamson County Battle of the Badges blood drive on Wednesday, August 16th. Every 2 seconds, someone is in need of blood. So stop by the Brentwood Library at 8109 Concord Road from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., sponsored by B.L. Harbert International. Going to get into the things we liked and things that we didn't like on Saturday. But first, a little announcement. The Titans have signed running back Jacques Patrick. He played in the XFL this past season, really. And thank you, Nick Frazier, for bringing his XFL stats together. In 10 games, not a bad outing. 450 yards, 5 touchdowns, 238 yards through the air. He's been on and off practice squads, signed, released over the past few years. I really think that comes down to Jonathan Ward got a little bit banged up on Saturday. Hassan Haskins was not out at practice today. So I think it's just a body of a running back. He was with Rand Carthon in San Francisco a few years ago.
Opportunity.
So that existing relationship there.
I'm intrigued to see as we go forward here now, especially now there's 2 of these leagues. Are there any great stories that come out of the USFL and or XFL? This kid obviously did okay in the XFL. I'd like to see it, right? You would want to see success stories, especially if you're one of those leagues. You want there to be hope for those players. If you run one of those leagues, you're a coach of one of those leagues. Hines Ward, I was reading some good quotes from him about a young man that's trying out for the Titans. You know, he's like, I hope you're not back next year. I want you to use this experience to springboard into the NFL. That would be cool.
Well, hopefully. And, you know, they need the depth. You know, Ward went down. Was it in the middle of the game or toward the end of the game? I saw him walk to the sideline and then walk inside. It might have been before halftime.
I think so.
So, you know, we don't know the extent of his injury. So,
and I've loved what I've seen from Jonathan Ward in camp.
I mean, I love what I've seen from him. Chestnut, obviously Spears as well.
Spears was balling yesterday.
It just seemed
I
like
keep it Saturday.
Haskins is sort of the odd man out when it comes to the running back position, but his value, I think, is more so on special teams at this particular time, and that I'm sure will keep him on this roster. But bringing in another guy, you know, is a depth piece, a depth move, and hopefully Ward can be back and you know, further, you know, his opportunity or his chance to make this team.
So without further ado, let's get into what we liked, what we didn't like on Saturday. I'll kick it off. One thing that I did like were the running backs not named Hassan Haskins. I thought Tajay Spears in the first series was fantastic. I thought that he moved the offense well. I thought Julius Chestnut looked really good, catching balls out of the backfield, running the ball. Jonathan Ward, apart from the injury, I thought he looked solid. Didn't love what I saw from Hassan Haskins, but I liked what I saw, specifically from Tajay Spears, but from a lot of those backup running backs.
For me, I wrote them down here. Let me see. Okay. The guys that I did like, obviously, Racey McMath helped himself this game. He had 2 nice catches. He had a run after the catch. Julius Chestnut, obviously. Roberson, I think, helped himself. Now, it's still going to be an uphill battle for him to make this roster on the receiving end. But Jackson, the kid out of Georgia.
Kyrus Jackson?
Yeah, he had some really nice catches. Harrison did as well. I think the receiver core as a whole did pretty good. I would have loved to seen a little bit more from Dow, Colton Dow, but I think he would have had 2 catches, 1 or 2 catches.
So you're not seeing a Drew Bennett in there just yet?
Nah, not yet. Nah,
sort of an unknown that sort of by the end of the preseason you're like, wow, this guy looks like he could be pretty good. Like that was the Drew Bennett.
Right.
Nobody had ever heard of the guy.
It could be Roberson. It really could be Roberson. That guy that sort of just comes out of nowhere. Again, I like Jackson. I need to see it in another game. What
I don't like about Jackson, though, he was on the receiving end of that miscommunication between he and Will Levis at the end of the game. I mean, if Kyrus Jackson is where he needs to be, maybe it's a touchdown. Maybe we're talking about Will Levis in this game as a whole in a completely different context.
Yeah, maybe. But I just, these are guys that still have to do more. But I like those guys that I named. I like what they did this past game when given opportunity.
I liked the quarterback's athleticism, and I'll take it a little more detail for you. I was watching the Get Up this morning. I'm not, sometimes I think Orlovsky goes a little overboard with some of his stuff. But he said something I thought was insightful today. He was talking about young quarterbacks. He says, if you have a tool, he says, you're going to struggle. But if you have a tool that can allow you to survive, if you're called upon, that will help you as you try to work on your weaknesses, right? And good coaches will try to work to your strengths and mask your weaknesses. But what I like about Levis and Willis is, man, they can make something happen if the pocket breaks down. I saw Levis and Willis both times step up, try to look to make a throw, but there's no pocket. But they slip out. They run. They can make a guy miss. They're strong. They can withstand. I'm not worried about them getting lit up necessarily. Like they know how to get down. They can do that. So you can lean on that some. That's one of the things that I think a lot of people were looking for from Willis last year. He didn't use that as much last year as I thought he could have to survive. Right? I'm hoping that both of those guys, if they're called upon this year, lean on that a little bit while you can. I mean, you're not always going to be able to run like they can right now, but man, those guys can really run. So that's one thing I like.
One thing I didn't like, the kickers.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm a big kicker girl. Didn't love what I saw from the kickers. Caleb Shudak kicked a kickoff out of bounds. Don't like that. And then he made one from 41, but if the wind wasn't blowing his way, and I don't know how the wind was blowing, if the wind was blowing the other way, that ball's not going in. If you're kicking it from 43, I think it would have been short. So didn't love that. Trey Wolf missed his from 48. Didn't love the special teams outing on Saturday. Also, one thing that I wanted to throw around the table. How concerned are we going to let ourselves get about the second team defense? Because, I mean, Justin Fields in that first team offense, for the most part, first team offense, I mean, they were just running all over this second team Titans defense. But I'm also not going to let myself get too concerned because I don't think anyone's second team defense in the NFL is going to hold up against very many first team offenses. I was concerned about depth, but I can't get too concerned about the second team guys when Rashad Weaver was really the only starter out there on Saturday. So
yeah, it was a lot of who are these guys?
Yeah,
or guys that you saw.
Who's not?
Yeah,
yeah.
Not the who's not.
Mike Vrabel was quick to defend them on one play, and they've showed it a million times. We've had Fox Sports 1 on in our studio. They've showed it about 10 times. One of the screenplays that went for a touchdown. 2 offensive linemen are way downfield. That should never have been.
Yeah.
That should have been flagged, right?
Refs need preseason too. Yes.
I thought there were a couple that they were like, let's go ahead and look at this, even though like it looked pretty clear on the replay. It's like, let's test the replay system. So, yeah, first preseason game, not time to worry about that stuff.
What I didn't like, obviously the second team offensive line. I pray that they don't have to go that far in their depth chart when it comes to the offensive line, because right now you might as well count the season a loss if they have to go 2 or 3 people deep in that offensive line.
That's like hey, D-Mase, we're going to strap up. You know, we're going to be strapped up after a while.
I was thinking
we're going to have to get at that tackle position.
You know, sometimes you go to the pickup gym, you go to the playground, and there are some places where the next 5 get the next game.
Exactly.
So more guys get through there. There are other times where you are the captain and you're like, I got next, and then I picked my 5. I picked my other 4.
Yeah.
You don't want that 5 going in there for the Titans, right? You want to pick the other 4 coming off the court from the other team.
Oh, no. I don't want to have to go in with that starting 5. Oh, no.
You're not going to be playing for very long.
We're not playing by default. You go in. No, I'm picking my team. And then
they
also,
got worked.
Yeah. Oh, it was bad.
Worked.
The tight end position. They need to, that position need to pick itself up. We know, or we believe we know exactly who Chig is and what he can do. If he doesn't do the things I believe he can do, I would be like blown away because I think the kid's a really good player. But beside him, there doesn't seem like there's any explosion from the tight end position. There's no big play potential at the tight end position after Chigakonkwo, so that does concern me.
The last thing I didn't like, and I might just be being a little bit catty here, I didn't like the weather updates on News 2. I know you guys didn't watch on News 2.
It was a bad storm.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
So it is not lost on me that people use TV and news updates to keep themselves safe from the storm. I completely understand that. That's not lost on me. But it was like the biggest radar and the longest bloviating of the storm with like the game in the teeniest, tiniest little square box on the lower left-hand side. Like, surely there's a way for the important information to get out there while also not showing the game in a teeny, tiny, itty-bitty little square. And it was so many weather updates. Did not like that.
Well, just imagine watching it on your computer. How much smaller.
Or on the treadmill.
How
like
much smaller it was. I'm like, goodness, but I get it. But, man.
Maybe a scroll on the bottom.
Yeah. Always a
just make
dilemma.
it a
Always a
rectangle.
dilemma for a news station.
Exactly.
It's tough. It's hard. But maybe just make it a rectangle. Because
Yeah.
there was so much that we were missing of the game in an itty-bitty little square.
Yeah. Well, good thing it was only preseason.
True.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the all-time stories is a very important, heartbreaking loss for the Predators in the playoffs one year. 2010 was during a huge storm, and the game was all kinds of weather updates, like serious stuff, and they were putting the game on Telemundo at one point, like, and the fans were going crazy, like, we can't watch the game. This is nuts. And it was a tiny it was a nightmare. It ended up not going well for the Predators too. So it was
Maybe that's for the best.
the whole thing to throw out the window.
Yeah.
Surely we can find a best of both worlds situation.
But when you're a news station and you're trying to serve it, they
gotta
know
be tough,
that the phone's gonna start ringing. Like, why aren't you guys showing the game?
Oh, 100%.
Get the game on.
I know it's preseason, but
I don't care about this.
It's football. It's football. Rain's gonna rain. Football doesn't always football.
I was caught in the middle of that, the monsoon.
I was too.
As I was walking out the door, just drenched in rain. But hey, the online one was what? Uninterrupted, right, D-Mase?
No, not even on Titans Online. It wasn't uninterrupted.
Really?
Because they were still showing it from a Channel 2 feed.
The same feed.
Yeah.
Okay.
One more thing that I liked, and we'll get into that coming up next. Not necessarily on the field, but more so on the sidelines. We'll get into that coming up next. Join 102.5 The Game and Robbie and Rex Road broadcasting from 6 to 9 a.m. for 2 Dunkin' grand openings right here in Middle Tennessee. Friday, they'll be out at 350 Highway 190 South in Lebanon. And next Monday, they'll be out at 206 Indian Lake Boulevard in Hendersonville. Come out for coffee, food, and great opportunities to win prizes. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Are you always on the go?
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad.
It's Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase.
Stomach Comedy.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Let's tell you once again about my friends at Loan Pronto. No question about it. All summer long, they've been helping people get their finances in order by using their home's equity. It's the Express Equity line of credit. It's been even faster than it was before, and it's gotten faster over the years. I'll tell you what, refi or home equity line of credit, years ago, it used to be a very tedious process, a lot of paperwork. That is not the case anymore with Loan Pronto. They can get you hundreds of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, whatever you need based on your home's equity. They can do it in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. Keep that great mortgage rate intact. Just get the money you need, pay off the credit cards, start a home improvement project, whatever your financial needs are. You can access that, and you can get it fast. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Genesis Diamond's most extreme value on diamonds is coming to an end. You have until Sunday at 5 p.m. to get the price of a lifetime on a certified GIA diamond ring.
Response has been incredible. People have driven for hours to buy like a dealer buys. All GIA certified diamond rings are on sale. A full 20% discount off Genesis' amazing everyday value price.
We're talking values you never thought possible. From a half carat to 20 carat diamonds, all hand-picked for maximum brilliance and all graded by the most prestigious gem lab in the world.
Don't be surprised to see jewelry store owners and diamond dealers shopping alongside you.
Genesis has the largest GIA diamond selection you've ever seen. Rounds, ovals, radiance, cushion cuts, pear shapes, emerald cuts, princess cuts.
And now through Sunday, you can take advantage of this rare buying opportunity. Limit one per customer, please.
Get the Genesis no middleman direct importer price minus an extra 20% on all GIA diamond engagement rings. Now through Sunday only at Genesis Diamonds.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
See store for details.
Stop by Lincoln Tech's NADC Monday, August 14th through Wednesday, August 16th for their summer open house anytime between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. and discover a world of opportunity for you and your future career plans. Meet with admissions, get info about career fields that interest you, take a tour of the campus, and learn about scholarships to help finance your education. Don't miss the open house at Lincoln Tech's NADC August 14th through 16th. Visit lincolntech.edu for additional info. That's lincolntech.edu.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here. 6326 Patton Avenue is a new construction home in Nashville's Charlotte Park neighborhood. It offers 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and nearly 2,500 square feet. Features include a 2-car garage, custom walk-in shower, and a private backyard that's fully fenced. Text the number 2 to 615-420-2377 for pricing and info. Want your home on the radio? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Junie Riddle,
the guy that can come in and give us some good goal-scoring production.
And Nick Keiser,
another guy that I thought was interesting that got a 1-year deal.
Each Saturday morning at 9, it's Riddle and the Reporter on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. We just broke down the things that we liked, things that we didn't like in the Titans game on Saturday. One thing that I didn't mention that I did like was Terrell Williams. And look, I don't know what Terrell Williams does behind closed doors. I don't know how he contributes to a game plan. But I do know that he's a heck of a defensive line coach. Because you look at the number of undrafted kind of like people, no names, essentially, names we didn't know, that have now turned into essential parts of a defensive line that we think could carry this Titans team throughout a majority of the season. I know he's a good defensive line coach. Everything that I've heard from him, whether it was at the podium last week, whether it was post-game on Saturday, whether it was his sideline interview with Corey Curtis on News 2, everything that I've heard from him, he just checks all the right boxes. So from all of the metrics that I can see and that I can measure and that I understand make up a good NFL head coach, I think Terrell Williams fits those boxes. So I appreciate Mike Vrabel giving him the opportunity to show that. And I really, really like Terrell Williams.
I thought he did a good job, too, illustrating the importance of getting that chance to do that. He said in the press conference, he goes, you cannot simulate what it's like to be a head coach unless you go through some of that stuff. And he used examples like where you stand on the sideline. Mike Vrabel telling him this is going to come up in the game. I think that illustrates how important that chance was. And like I said on Friday, I will guarantee you tons of teams will start following suit and giving guys a chance to have a practice game as a head coach. It's a way to develop coaches. It's a great idea.
Yeah, I believe he did a wonderful job. I sent you guys the tweet of Lane Kiffin doing that with one of his assistants, allowing them to, and now they can't do it in the game because they don't have preseason games in college, but he did it, I think, during their spring game or something like that, where he was the head coach for the day, just giving him that responsibility. Because you're right. You don't gain it unless you're in it. Gain that experience of being a head coach unless you're a head coach. So kudos to the Tennessee Titans front office and coaching staff and Mike Vrabel for, giving Coach Williams that opportunity to see what it truly feels like being in that, head coach's role. And, the team flowed the way I'm pretty sure that it would have flowed with Mike Vrabel. I didn't think, even going into the game, I didn't think anything was going to be different. It's not like Coach Williams just got there this year and he's trying to figure out this team. He knows this team. The players know him. They love him. So I didn't think anything was going to be too different, if Mike wasn't, there in his role as head coach. So, again, kudos to the Titans in that organization for, letting that take place.
I like, too, that there were a couple situations where he got to make the call, right? They had 4th and goal from the 1. He's like, let's go. And he explained it after the game.
I like the decision to go for it.
Yeah, but, again, you project yourself being a head coach. It's easy to say, well, this is what I would have done if I were the head coach. But when you get to go through it, that's huge experience. That's a great valuable thing to take forward. So I hope he gets a shot. That would be a great end to the story someday if he gets his chance.
I do too. I absolutely do too. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Stillman & Company is up next.
Be loved.